honestly, I'd rather risk everything to be first than risk less to be not first. That's my mindset. So every time we play tournaments and it's very clear we're below NAVI, like I don't bullshit you. We were clearly below. We had to have a great tournament. They had to have a shitty tournament for us to beat them, or a shit day. And yeah, I don't want that. I don't fucking want that. I don't want to fucking beg for s1mple to get bored in NAVI for me to buy him or some shit. Like I want to build my team and I want to kick his ass, you know? I want s1mple to blame himself for not having joined G2. I want s1mple to like to be hurt from losing countless tournaments against us. And the only way you do that is by taking risks and building teams that actually kick ass.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna see you falling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parry Match, your esports teammate. Hey buddy, let me show you how to fix that. Bitskins.com. Buy and sell skins instantly. Deposit and withdraw funds instantly with crypto or directly to your Visa card. Bitskins.com, the best skin marketplace.
HLTV, that is the first time we've had a false start. I think maybe I'm a little bit in awe of the guests we have tonight. Let's try again. HLTV Confirmed is back again for another week, Season 6, Episode 3. And so it's Tier 1 Counter-Strike roster debuts, Ring Rust, and maybe some overreactions. We'll get into all that later. To kick off tonight's show, shout out to our lovely sponsors, Bitskins, buy and sell CSGO skins and items, parrymatch.com, gamble responsibly, and Xtrfy. Check them out if you're in the marketplace for some new peripherals. As always, we got Lucas in the control room. Lucas, I sound a little bit gruff tonight. Is that going to cause any issues?
No.
No. All right. Great. Stern as always. Prof, do you think the huskier voice is better? Should this be a permanent change for me? What are you thinking?
I honestly don't even hear any difference. But husky voice is +1.
Are you going to fucking introduce me?
Yeah, you're going to get to you. We're going to get to you. Normally, right, like I do a nice intro, but now I don't know, right? You're jumping the gun a bit here. Striker, just wave, because Mr. Impatient over here. I need to get this one sorted. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without further ado, the guest on tonight's show, you can see the man. You've heard the man. Well, you knew the man was coming. Ex-League of Legends professional, so he knows what he's doing in the fucking server. Singer and meme curator. Agitator of Sam Matthews, founder and CEO of G2, Ocelot, aka Carlos. Thank you for joining us here this evening. You happy with that welcome?
Yeah, beautiful. Oh my god,
there's a lot of all the positives. Which one is your favorite there? Singing, memes?
I don't know. I'm pretty like I'm a mediocre of all traits, but it's a lot of traits. I gotta tell you that. So yeah, let's say singer. You know,
okay.
It's giving me the.
I think you blew everybody away with that one.
The ego boost, you know.
We love that here, right? Especially me. I think I'm going to be one of the biggest narcissists going around in the esports world. But enough about me, right? We got to get into the hot seat with Carlos here. So let's run the bumper, Lucas, and let's get into it. All right. So, Carlos, right now we're going to get stuck into, I guess, a little bit of history with you and G2, because obviously our fan base here. The people tuning into this are big Counter-Strike fans, right? And maybe not all of them have been watching since G2 was around in the beginning. I think it was early 2015. You guys had a Polish roster, then you moved into the international squad. You picked up Kingwin.
Jeez, why you had to remind me of this shit?
Because that was back when I'm playing, and that's the only thing that keeps me relevant in this scene, that I can reference one game from back in 2016. So I have to make sure I go back that far, right? And then you guys had the French, you had a bit of a French affair, and went a bit international, and now we've gone even more so international. So we're a little bit up to speed here. Now, I'm not quite sure, Prof, where you wanted to start off with this one here for Carlos, because I feel like we're going to jump around a lot here.
It is a quite difficult one, and I don't see us actually sticking to any sort of a timeline. It's probably going to go all over the place. But I think a big signing was the NiKo signing, right? And then that is kind of where I wanted to start, because 2020 was actually the year when the infamous 1 week era happened, when G2 was on top of the HLTV rankings for 1 week. Without winning any tournaments, of course.
Why do you have to say 1 week? Why not 7 days? Or just make it hours? Like, it just sounds fuller, you know?
Maybe in hours we can times 24.
Sounds fuller.
Yeah, I mean, but then obviously NiKo change happened, and that's when the expectations of G2 changed into being, I mean, probably the expectations before were also high, at least from inside the team, but from the outside, that is when we thought, okay, now they're #1 contender in the world. So maybe that's where we start, like the actual signing of NiKo. When you signed him,
when did we actually sign him? It was actually 2021, no?
Well, late 2020.
2020.
Late 2020?
Yeah, like October, November,
something like that.
Yeah, expensive as fuck, I'll be honest. But at the same time, I mean, ever since the beginning of G2, like even thinking, I mean, let's not talk about the Polish era, okay? We don't talk about that.
Okay,
that's like the Fight Club. But then it's like when I put together the team with maLeK, the Scream, Fox, these guys, I always thought of either I know what I'm doing with team building and roster building, and then you just aim for good synergies. You don't trust who's a good coach, you don't trust who's a good analyst, you just try to build shit yourself. So it's like the two ways of doing things, right? Either you go for like team building, which requires again good support stuff, or you go for names. And I went for names because I had no fucking idea, and I didn't know who was good. So I went for like names, and that's what I did. And eventually, we got Dennis, we got Rain, we got I remember JKM. We got like really good people at different times that made that international team work, right? And so I deployed that thought process, the two principles that I follow. Either I trust the support staff and we build an actual team, or I don't trust the support staff and I build it myself with names. And so every time you saw a super team, it was Carlos putting together names and trying to build a core that we can build upon, which I think is a smart idea. It's more expensive, but there's a lot of hype through the roof, and then you can keep a core that you can build around. Or you have a support staff that you like, and you like how they think, and you guys think alike, and you just trust them with decisions, right? And so there's been different moments in G2 where one applied, and then when the other applied. I think there was a point in time where I deployed a lot of trust in people like Shox, that allowed me to, go blindly into the likes of, getting Smith and things like that, and against many people's what they thought many people was the right call. But I trusted Shox because he clearly knew what he was doing. He was right. I mean, we had a team, I don't know if you remember, but with Smith, Buddy, and then Shox.
Scream was there.
Yeah, so it's like that team had no business being top 3, and we were top 3, because Shox knew what he was doing. But sometimes I didn't have that trust in anybody, so I was just like, I mean, of course, I guess I've developed some more knowledge over the years, but in the case of Nexa Hunter, right, that was when I saw them just popping off. And
Started a major, right?
Yeah, they were just
Berlin 2019.
I think so. Yeah. They were doing really well in like sub tier. I mean, in sub party teams, and I thought to myself, maybe this is a good people to get for the core, and I get out of the French mafia, and so that's the decision I took. And that initial decision, which felt, I'm sure, from the outside very rushed, had the intention of building a core, right, that speaks English and again gets out of the vicious cycle of French teams. And that's fucking miserable, by the way. And so after that, when we got NiKo on board, there was a clear trust in the team and the coach. Like maLeK, I fucking love maLeK. I really love maLeK. And you know, and I really trusted Hunter. I trusted nexa. I trusted the team we had, you know. And when we got NiKo, it wasn't anymore, let's get a name, because I already, you know, felt like we had a good core, or started to have a good core, but it was more like, I think NiKo fits in now. You know, everybody in the team agrees that NiKo actually fits in. And so that was, I think, the first time that we got a big name that actually fits in. And so that's why I think it's definitely the most impactful signing. Not only because of the name, right, and how good he is, but because it really fit into the system.
You said that there. Like one of the big things that happened when you had that NiKo signing was obviously the changing of places with Jax and m0NESY, right? Like that was back and forth, and then it ended up being Kenny, the one who we lost there, right? And that was a really odd time, because obviously what they envisioned happening within the team, having Kenny primary AWP and having to decide between Jax and m0NESY, never really came to fruition, and you're stuck with both of them there, right? Like, and you guys still have Kenny on the bench now, right? m0NESY and Kenny are both on the bench at this point within G2. So when you had that time, and you were just talking about the French, right? And we all know, well, those who have been around long enough know that it's a bit of a shit show there, right? Like how gossipy.
It's just nepotism, you know?
Yeah. But did that play anything into, like, because Jackson, m0NESY, and Kenny, like having those three there, the last of the French, like surely all that was gone, right? Like they're just, how was all that decision making process where everything was changing? Was that like maLeK and Co just making those choices at that point, and you were hands off,
like,
now that
when
NiKo was there?
You mean when the team was already like international with NiKo, or what?
Yeah, like just after that was when all the chopping and changing happened.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
That's
look, like
when things got
this
weird.
is like the way G2 works is, we are in socials the most sought after team. As a brand, the most unique brand with the most defined tone of voice. Our content is widely regarded as the best in the industry. And our teams are on average in the top games. If you combine every top game that exists, G2 is by far the most, on average, over the years, successful, or competitively speaking, across these games on average, right? And so then it's very easy to fall into trap of tunnel visioning and not forcing yourself to be better. And any team, most teams actually, that are like top 3 on average on HLTV will not look to change anything, because that's good enough to them, you know. But I actually don't give a fuck about that ranking. I want to win majors, you know, and that sometimes makes you commit mistakes, make changes that you shouldn't make. But it doesn't matter. I always say I'd rather be in a position to win than remain second, right? Consistently. Like I'd rather risk everything to be first than risk less to be not first. That's my mindset. So every time we play tournaments and it's very clear we're below NAVI, like I don't bullshit you. We were clearly below. We had to have a great tournament. They had to have a shitty tournament for us to beat them, or a shit day. And yeah, I don't want that. I don't fucking want that. I don't want to fucking beg for s1mple to get bored in NAVI for me to buy him or some shit. Like I want to build my team and I want to kick his ass, you know? I want s1mple to blame himself for not having joined G2. I want s1mple to like to be hurt from losing countless tournaments against us. And the only way you do that is by taking risks and building teams that actually kick ass. And for that, you need to take risks. You need to do things that are unpleasant. I fucking love maLeK. m0NESY, sorry. I mean, yeah, maLeK actually for that matter. I love Jackie. You know, when we put him in the bench. I love Kenny. He's my bro. You know, these people. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with, and I respect and admire actually. But I value the success of G2 more than I value friendships and things like that. So that's just my principles. That's how I draw the line, and that's how G2 is run. So yeah, if tomorrow NiKo is no longer ambitious enough to remain number one, he knows that he will look to be replaced.
Okay. Well, I think there the problem is you just with that, like saying that stuff about Simple, they just lost and they're probably looking for something to pick me up. So if Simple's looking for some fuel, he can watch
I mean,
that.
come on, like it's just one tournament. It's after the break, whatever. I mean, they're gonna get back and he's gonna destroy us, and I'm gonna get all the Russians on Twitter. Nazdrovia, this is what you get for saying shit about Simple. Get fucked. And I have to eat it. I have to eat it because I did say it.
But I think this is a big part of it, right? I don't know, boys, if you want to take it anywhere, Striker or Prof here.
Look, I think this actually is a pretty good segue into just the changes now. Like, let's fucking get into that, right? Because like that's kind of like what you're alluding to, right? Like, obviously, like when you get NiKo, you have certain expectations. You get this massive player who you expect to be kind of like take over at G2 and just be able to get you that next step, to start getting you some titles. And that obviously didn't happen. It's just remained titleless for the next year. And so, like, at what point do you go, fuck it? Like, this needs a change.
What do you mean? Which player?
I mean, just in general. Like, when at which point did you just go, okay, this team is not going to win?
I don't have patience. Like when it becomes apparent to me that this team is not a team that should reliably win majors, then a change must happen. And in every game, right? You can apply this to every single game. Sometimes the game does not allow the game system or league does not allow you to be as impatient because, for example, League of Legends. Between summer split and between spring split and summer split, so mid-season, there's not much you can do because nobody will sell their good players and there's no good players available. So you only have one off season a year where you can do all your changes. So your impatience cannot be deployed in some games. In Counter-Strike, you can deploy that impatience and be aggressive with your moves on demand because the amount of times you can do this at are many more. So yeah.
Was there not desire to do it before the major? Because when we looked at G2 this last year, of course, at 2021, the lack of an AWPer was kind of apparent, right? You had m0NESY do it, NiKo was trying to do it, and that seemed like the obvious thing that needed to be fixed. But it didn't get fixed until now, 2022 essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, unless you change m0NESY for a good enough AWPer, it will become about all to do so because there's a system that works. So imagine you get m0NESY for, okay, I'm going to name names because, we're not stupid, right? But let's imagine you get Cirque, right? I like Cirque, so he's a good player. But is he good enough to justify replacing m0NESY for him as an AWPer? Considering he has to relearn the system, he has to fit into the system and stuff like that. Well, probably not. So it has to be someone good enough to justify that change. And so who is good enough to justify a change that tries to propose you better than top 3 or top 2? Well,
mid-season probably not a lot of
yeah, you either get Simple, ZywOo, which I tried, but it's just impossible. Just because Vitality has too much money and too little brain, so they overspending in everything. And so then m0NESY appeared as an opportunity, and we went for it.
Expensive opportunity, though, right? For a kid like him.
What?
He's expensive, right?
Who, m0NESY?
Yeah.
We had to buy him from NAVI, and NAVI wanted to use him for the first team. They just can't because the team is too good. So, and he's a main AWPer, so he has to replace s1mple, which makes no sense because why would you replace s1mple? So for them, it made no sense. Like the guy had to wait 2 more years probably to play in NAVI. So yeah, that was, I guess, I will say Jevon, the actual CEO of NAVI, he was very human in the process because he understood that, human, let's be honest, I paid a fucking rib and a half, but at the same time, they could have said no to the money and just keep the guy on the bench and use him for the future. But he decided not to. I'm sure partly because s1mple is s1mple, and for the foreseeable future, s1mple will be s1mple. But a part of it is also a human factor, Jevon is a good guy. He's a good guy. I respect him a lot.
Now, I'm probably talking to school here, but when we're hearing rumors that I'm looking to Prof and Striker to confirm with gentle nods here, that there was like some clause that they were trying to put in the contract so that they could get him back from you at some point.
Yeah, it's true. They tried to negotiate it.
That sounds like one of your tactics.
It's a good tactic, but
Yeah,
I'm not,
look at me,
I'm
bro.
not, I'm not gonna buy a fucking player from you. That's what you're gonna get. Then I build him up, then you get him back, and it's like, yeah, we'll pay you a little extra. I don't give a fuck, but it's like you think I'm your fucking academy. It's not gonna work, you know. So
that's kind of what I
no.
was thinking. Like when I heard that, like that doesn't make any sense from your perspective, right? Because you give him all the tier 1 experience, you know, bring him up and everything like that. It doesn't make sense for you to let him go after that.
It would never. It was never gonna happen. I mean, the moment they mentioned it as an idea, is yeah, this is impossible. It's never gonna happen. Never, ever, ever, ever in a gazillion years.
The rumor was like $600,000 from m0NESY.
I can't.
But
I can't talk about the numbers.
But I heard there are some clauses essentially. Like it's not a full payout at first, but it's something that unlocks with times. Is
Ooh,
that kind
okay.
of the idea
No,
of the?
there's no unlock. I mean, there's unlocking for bonus, but there's no unlocking for basic.
Yeah, I mean there is obviously a basic buyout, and then there are some extra
If
fees.
we win with him, we have to use the bank. It's just how it is, you know.
Okay.
And if we don't win with him, we have to use 70% of what we'd have used. It's which is a lot. So yeah, it's a large sum of money for a 16-year-old, but it's a nice bet. It's a fun bet, you know.
It is a fun bet because of the storylines that you've greeted us with, right? It's like gone and grabbed one from the best team in the world camp to who isn't afraid to talk shit. The thing with this 16-year-old kid is as well, like some of the comments he makes, maybe it's lost in translation. I'm hoping it's not, because he's got a bit of sass about himself, right? I actually like it. It fits with the G2, the brand, as it were, because you guys are in tongue in cheek a lot of the time. But this kid, like, to go up now against s1mple, if he can live up to what people think he can be, you've obviously got NiKo in the server as well. Like, that's when shit starts to spice up. And this year for Counter-Strike, a lot of people are talking about it, especially with your team's narrative in there as being such an exciting year for Counter-Strike. Now, I can segue there's millions of different ways, boys. Like, I want to be talking about, like, I want to ask questions like comparatively to League of Legends. Like, do you prefer the Counter-Strike system? Do you prefer the League system? I know that you're originally from League, right? Like,
I mean, you get a lot of shit for poaching in League of Legends. Obviously, there's been a lot of causes, I guess, in the past few years. So I imagine CS is a pretty good game for you.
Only rumors. I'm good at my job. I'm very good at my job. Okay.
You're only the rules.
You're only poaching if you get caught. Yeah. Until then, nobody's fucking poaching. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea.
So no, but do you prefer that? Because obviously that's a whole circus.
As a player, I used to prefer the CS system. When League implemented, when I was playing League and they implemented the regular season system, I hated it because I enjoy bootcamp, tournament, small break, restarts practice, bootcamp, tournament, small break, restart practice. That cycle, I liked it. But as a team owner, I enjoy that both things exist because it's different inventory for me to sell to sponsors, and it's different inventory for us to fill socials and content with. It's just different inventory, you know. It's just very good to have like different systems in place. Rocket League has a completely different system too. It's like, you know, we have Rainbow Six with a completely different system as well. There's just a lot of different games with different systems that is very enjoyable as a team owner to have sort of like a portfolio approach. Everything is very different. So I enjoy the way CS is.
I think, like, just springboarding off of that, one of the things that a lot of these teams have issues with is being able to monetize Counter-Strike, right? And like, there's obviously different mechanisms in these different games for you guys to be able to monetize things, but G2 doesn't seem to have the same issues because of how strong the brand is, how strong your social is, all that kind of stuff. The Counter-Strike, is it just seen as like another leg of that advertisement, or is there a way that this is financially sustainable?
Every game is sustainable. If your brand is appealing enough, your marketing good enough, and your commercial team good enough. The same problems that teams are running in Counter-Strike of not being able to monetize their teams, I know teams in LEC, if not most of them, that are having the same issues with fucking League of Legends, which is the most played game on the planet, and LEC, the largest league, bar none, from premium esports. And if you have problems monetizing that, I mean, and you really blame the league for it or the system for it, it's just your fucking wrongdoing. You have no idea how to build a brand, how to build a community, or how to sell it. So I would just say, I mean, I know that a lot of people got burned investing in esports teams because the vast majority of them are run like fucking bakery stores, like family bakery stores. And
what's wrong with bakery stores? Like here in Croatia, they make shit ton of money. Like that.
I said family bakery stores.
That's even better. Like
family,
it's a
like
good bread there.
You put your son in there just to work there with 14 years old. Can I get paid? Just shut the fuck up and work. And then you just get every profit from every slice of bread you know what I mean? It's just thinking small. You're not thinking marketing, you're thinking to sell bread on Monday, okay? As a family. And that's how these people think, you know? So they deserve to not make money because they have no fucking idea how to run a business. Whether it's in Counter-Strike or any other game, it's just these people are just clueless. And so there are teams that make good money, and there are teams whose businesses look good. Ours is one of them. And anybody that says you don't make money in Counter-Strike just simply speaks about their inability to build a business. So every time you hear that from anybody, just know this guy's no fucking idea what he's doing.
So does that mean that you're actually like positive in terms of CS, like when you add it all together?
Yeah.
Really?
100%. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing, like everybody, exactly. Like everybody says we're like taking
in the
money,
red.
Bro, like our whole esports business is profitable today.
How much of the CS part is, because now we have these partner leagues and we have some revenue shares and stuff like that. Does that change it for you?
Decent. I mean, it's decent. It adds up to the P&L, but it's not crazy. I mean, what moves the needle is 7-digit sponsorship deals, and what moves the needle is selling content formats. What moves the needle is content distribution. It's just building a fucking business, bro. Like, you can't rely. Surprise. You can't build your business on the back of league rev share to make it sustainable in full. Like, if you're spending $4 million on your Counter-Strike team, what do you want? A $4 million rev share out of your blast league participation when your fucking brand is completely worthless? Nobody wants to watch your games. Like, what are you trying to do here? You know, like G2 is consistently the most watched English-speaking team in the world in any game we play, and there's a reason for that. We don't have the biggest names on the planet on every game, but we do have the best brand, and that's why people want to watch. And so that's how we make money. There's no magic.
You make it sound so simple. Why isn't everybody doing it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I make it sound simple, but if you just look into the office, we have like 180 people. It's a company, bro. It's an actual company.
And you still haven't sent me any merch. So, like, what's going on there?
Yeah, imagine I fucking send you merch and I send everybody merch. How the fuck do I make money?
There you go. Okay, well, I'll pay for the posting or something along those lines. But look, the other day there's a bit of a bombshell, right, in the Counter-Strike world. The EFG, that's the ESL-FACEIT group, a new acronym for all of us to use. Obviously being bought by the Savvy Gaming Group. We talked about that on last week's show, so we don't need to go into too much depth on that. But was that as much of a bombshell for you as it was for the rest of the Counter-Strike world?
Honestly, man, I don't want to say I'm apolitical because obviously I have my views on things. But I think the world is a little hypocritical in general, because if you draw the line on one thing, shouldn't you draw the line on other things that are equally impactful? I think that this is a hairy topic, right? But people watch Formula One, nobody bats a fucking eye, and that business is built on the back of unpleasant, for Twitter standards, regions. And I mean, if anything, this is my thought process, okay? If anything, if an unpleasant, for Twitter standards, region or group of people deploys money in our industry, I think we do a disservice automatically canceling them, as opposed to embracing or forcing our way of operating our industry upon them. So, for example, if a region that heavily is against women's rights deploys money into the industry, shouldn't we force them with our wallets to continue to invest in female tournaments? I'm not saying that's the right or wrong thing to do. I'm just saying it's an example just that I use to make a point, right?
Sure.
Like, isn't like education a big portion of the role we should be playing, as opposed to just straight up just throwing shit at it?
I feel kind of bad because I walked you into this full political thing. I wasn't trying to. I was kind of more trying to walk you into the field that, you know, where we're looking at such a huge investment in Counter-Strike, and you guys are a Louvre agreement team, right? So I was more trying to walk you in that direction, but I see that I've kind of thrown you under a fucking bus right now. So probably the last time Carlos comes on HLTV Confirmed.
I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind. You know, I the good thing about me, okay, I sometimes take more time to respond to things because some things require more accuracy when speaking than others, because you can clearly clip out of context something I say. So not you, but somebody can clip out of context something I say. So I have to very carefully and accurately describe my thoughts. But I am proud of my moral compass, and I will speak without fear, you know, about anything you bring up to me, because my moral compass is proud of it, you know.
I just threw you in the crosshairs right there, because the way that we spoke about this, we didn't get into too much of the politics. We tried just to talk about the Counter-Strike side of things here. And one of the big takeaways was obviously this big injection of money and what this could do for Counter-Strike. And with it being something which was catching the Counter-Strike world off guard, and probably the Louvre agreement teams, I would imagine too, because I'm sure they couldn't have said a lot about this kind of a deal, especially of this caliber, right? All of this stuff coming together, it kind of shows confidence in Counter-Strike in a way, because the two main pillars of ESL and FACEIT are Counter-Strike. They're the two biggest communities, right? So one of the big things that we were talking about is how this is probably going to add years of life onto certain scales of events, or maybe better events being run, or maybe for partnership teams like you guys, you could potentially be getting better deals out of all this kind of stuff. So,
I mean, bro, like, no, like, there's nothing like. We can try to convince ourselves that something good is gonna change, or is gonna happen as a result of this. Probably it won't. Like, these are investors, bro. Like, these people want to make money the same way the Modern Times Group wanted to make money when they bought ESL, the same way ESL wanted to make money when ESL was created. And Jens, my co-founder in G2, as you guys know, founded ESL, right? So I'm quite close to him and to the understanding of how this business operates. So generally, I can tell you, this is like nothing is gonna fucking change significantly. I don't think. It's just the world of entertainment and many other many industries are receiving funds from different regions, and that's because these industries are appealing, and there are some regions willing to spend more top dollar than others. You know. If anything, it speaks highly of what we have done as an industry, and what I guess ESL and FaZe have done as companies, because they got acquired, you know. But I don't think anything will significantly change, for better or worse.
I was hoping we'd get some better stuff out of it, right? That's that's what you know, bigger events, maybe some more content, maybe doing some stuff from outside of things. Prof, do you want to save me from this political landmine that we've just driven over?
We need to just pull back before like everyone leaves the Twitch stream, because everyone hates this, at least on our channel, this discussion, and go back, because we talked about m0NESY, and we talked about the change, but we didn't talk about the other two changes that you made, which is the maLeK change and Aleksib. And I think we can start with maLeK for Extaz. I think because that technically happened first. There's this whole thing about maLeK being not removed, but he was essentially given his notice before the major, so you knew you're going to make a change, and then Extaz came in. Can you tell me a bit about that decision? Because you said that you fucking love maLeK, I think, in your words, and everyone loves maLeK essentially, but he was just given the boot before the biggest tournament in the year.
But I mean, everyone loves maLeK in G2. Like, anybody that worked with him loves maLeK, you know. But sometimes even very capable and incredibly good coaches just don't fit whether don't fit the system you want to follow. And there are great coaches. Let's imagine football as an analogy, right? There are great coaches in football that are very technical, and when they need to be more mental, and there are great coaches that are very mental. What I meant to say is there are coaches in football that are more mental than technical, and vice versa. And those coaches are good for certain teams. And if you put a very technical coach in a team full of, I'm not saying this is what happened, by the way, but just to explain my thought process, if you put a very technical coach in football in a team with superstars, it's very likely not going to work, because you need to tackle different problems. These guys know how to play, right? So again, I'm not saying that's the principle we use for this, but sorry, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but that's the same principle we use, So I think that the team at large, and even including maLeK as well, we all agreed that we didn't see eye to eye in essentially how, I don't want to get into details, but maybe training regime, or like how, no, it's not necessarily training regime, but how to train and how to tactically play the game. You can disagree, and maybe both are right. It's just that maybe it's not for us at this moment, and it's much harder to change 5 players or 4 players than to change a coach. So it's just everything happens super amicably, and as I said, we all love maLeK, and I think he's gonna succeed wherever he goes. And in a place where from zero he gets to choose who joins his team, he will show his real value and worth, even more so than he did in G2.
He's over at EG. He's gonna have a tough time there. They just got bodied the other day, so that'll be
It's the
interesting to
beginning.
see. Yeah, we'll get stuck into them later, I think. But was it a bit of a? Did you guys, as soon as XTAZ was gone from Vitality, was it like, oh shit, this is way too good to give up here? Because XTAZ, his contributions to Vitality over the years have been great, especially with younger players, which works great with you guys having m0NESY coming in the door as well.
Well, yeah. So there were options on the table, but we thought of XTAZ. Because he has a lot of experience building up talented players, and he has a lot of examples of this. A lot of them. I mean, obvious ones like Misuta, ZywOo. I mean, he just worked with them day and night, and they showed a lot of progress alongside him. He's very good in the mental department, and he's very good in the technical department as well. And most importantly, he actually makes himself respected through his demeanor. It's like he's actually someone that when he speaks, you listen. Don't piss me off, chat. maLeK was similar in this specific thing. Okay, so I'm not saying it because maLeK wasn't that way, so I'm not comparing. I'm saying that he was a very good opportunity for us, to replace maLeK with. It's tough. It had to happen, and also, by the way, sometimes, and a good example of this is Perks in our League of Legends team. Sometimes, if it's the right guy in the right team, sometimes time makes you or encourages change. Because if you've seen each other's face for too long, bad habits deploy, and then you just need a refreshment. So sometimes, even if the right person in the right job in the right team is there, sometimes you require change. So yeah, XTAZ was just readily available, and it was too perfect to pass.
Yeah, I think here, like XTAZ, for a lot of people, like seeing him getting the boot, it was just because the Astralis thing was a package deal going over there, and he would look like he did a lot. We got the vibe. Was it? There was an interview. I forget which interview I was reading. It was about with XTAZ and something to do with when he speaks, you listen.
It was Aleksib actually who said that about him.
That's
who
right.
Said that?
Aleksib said it like when I was in Belgrade when I was interviewing Aleksib. He said literally the same thing that you said. Like, when,
really?
When
Exactly
like to the word.
I have access to all screens from all teams, and very often I will hop in to see how they interact with each other. And there's a couple of things that I am very, very happy with, which is I mean, I say it jokingly, you know, but which is Aleksib. He will be like, "Hey, X, you missed your smoke. It happened twice now. Please don't miss your smoke again." And like he pauses the game and then says that, you know, and he's like, "Oh shit, okay, so we're here to win," you know, like, okay, nice reminder. Let me get my smoke right, you know, and everybody is like, "Okay, I get it," you know. And so, and then X does same story, you know, he says something, what he's saying makes sense. He has a lot of knowledge about the game, and when he speaks, he's not a mouth breather, you know. Like sometimes I might come across, he when he speaks, he has something to say, you know.
I mean, that's yeah. I almost found it suspicious that you guys used the exact same wording about Xtaz because, like Alexi said, exactly what you said. Like when Xtaz speaks, you listen. Like that's kind of funny.
Astralis
So, clearly,
PR.
that's,
That's
yeah,
how
exactly.
it feels almost like we're interviewing Astralis here, just like matching statements about everything. Let's go.
It gave off that impression in that Vitality video, though, Prof. I remember you linked it in one of the chats that we had, right? And there was like an Xtaz situation where they're outside, and he's like, "I've got good and bad news." It's like, I think like the good news was we're shit, right? Like that's where it started. And he's like, the bad news is, and I was like, well, this is fucking great. Like it's all translated, right? I'm having to take whatever it is, but it was really good. So Striker, do you want to take us down the Aleksib path here? Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's obviously like there's the way I was looking at it. Like you had everybody thought G2 had two big problems, right? They didn't have an opera, and like there was like question marks surrounding game leading, especially like because you know maybe it didn't fit at times and stuff like that. So and obviously you like replaced those two positions like the most aggressively as you could have. Basically, like there was no more aggressive move that you could have made. So yeah, can you talk about Aleksib in general and what drew you to him?
Um, hmm.
Or did he come to you?
I think if we can talk about the nexa exit, you can tell me if this is how it happened, because this is how I understood it essentially, is that nexa came and said, I don't want to in-game lead this team anymore, but I want to play as a rifler. And then Xtaz was like, yeah, that's very nice to hear. Get the fuck out. We'll find a new in-game
No,
leader.
I mean, I won't get into like how things like that happens, right? But I can tell you, what can I tell you? Yeah, I mean, Nexa did not enjoy IGL in too much in G2. I think that, yeah, okay, so the problems we think we had to not be number one, we generally thought were, I was about to say operator, you're gonna fucking kill me. Where upper and just calling in general, and not only the calling in game, but like the preparation, like how the team prepares and screams to prepare for to learn how to play the game and call in officials. So I think those two things need to change, and with the team we have is the result of what we think are the solutions to those questions, you know. However happened in between, obviously I can't tell, but yeah, that's how we thought about it.
I think it's kind of seen, and I think the boys kind of agree with me on this. It's an okay swap for both of them. Obviously, it's great for Aleksib to get to go over there and in-game leader team with NiKo and potentially m0NESY being the superstar of the future. We don't know, but for Nexa as well, it's like, oh, okay, you know, it's not like he didn't find himself, you know, in trouble. It's a pretty good trade where he found himself now. You know, it's a different dynamic, different players there. Be interesting to see because he's made some comments about wanting to show that he can in-game lead at the top level. So that's going to be curious to see how that one goes on there. But now your team's gone international again. So you've gone Polish, which we're not going to talk about, into international, into French, and now you're back international again. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but I have a bet with Striker, and we need to just make sure we iron out the terms. But we made this bet.
I mean, this
2 years ago
fits,
now.
though. This one definitely fits.
Oh, this
like there's
one
no way it
fits.
doesn't.
Because in Counter-Strike, Carlos, I'm a strong believer that communication is probably one of the most important factors for the elite, right? And these international teams have a really hard time staying in the top 3 for a long time. And I think the bet, we need to iron it out. Someone needs to go back and find the clip and make sure we get the details here. Because what was it?
Basically, it's like a team with more than 3 different nationalities will not be top 3 for 6 months straight. You know, so like consistently a top
bet
team that
1,000
like
euros.
contends for titles all the time.
But we already did it, no? 2021.
Not for 6 months straight. Yeah, I think you dropped out of the top 3 for a bit, but you were reasonable and not like super close.
Yeah, but
but
that
like,
might be because of we changed some shit, no?
yeah,
Some
yeah, but I
players.
mean in general, like it's just like a that's there more for like a like it needs to be a team that's like a consistent title contender, you know. And obviously, like of course G2
we
were
had
at points, but
yes.
like obviously didn't really get any titles, you know. If
Yeah,
you did win any
the
titles,
YouTube special, is after summer, like we just go into summer break and we just take the longest holiday out of every fucking team. I already told Jerome, our manager, I was like, Jerome, the next fucking holidays I see you guys taking, if you have one more day than Navi, we're gonna have a fucking problem. Okay, you're gonna go on holidays as many days as Navi goes fucking holidays. These motherfuckers came from holidays tanned as fact, fucking 6-pack, tanned, enjoying life, surfing all day. Yeah, fuck this. And then they came back and we were shit. We were absolute
2 months.
dog shit for 2 months because you have to catch up and then you lose confidence and this fucking sucks.
This actually did cost me the bet, I think, because like with the major and obviously if you actually kept it going the entire time, I think that would have been 6 months, honestly. If that period didn't happen, I think they would have actually made it. So yeah, fuck G2, I guess. What the hell?
Me. Well, it's going to happen this year, right? I'm pretty sure I'm fucked this year because your team, obviously, Vitality doesn't fit the rule, but there's a couple swimming around now, right? So things are starting to get pretty worrisome for me.
I mean, let's see. There's a lot of good teams, right? But honestly, I don't know enough. You know more about CS than I do, but I can tell you, just from my experience in general, with every single game, if Counter-Strike is not part of this group, then I apologize, but I believe that the language barrier is overrated.
International, multi-language team has never won a major before.
Yeah, that's correct. And historically, I think you're right, but I think it's getting to a point where the callouts, like especially with the likes, like with things like FPL and like the people are playing with in English language much more, and the callouts are much more
universal, I guess.
Universal, exactly. And there's a lot of kids like m0NESY, he's 16, Russian, and I listen to the screams, perfect English, like the callouts are perfect. He doesn't struggle to mention anything. Jax does struggle, but it's a matter of English skills in general, and because he has grown up indeed playing alongside French people. But most people nowadays, they play FPL and they just fucking speak English, So I think that destroys the barrier. When all these callouts become like a default knowledge,
It's you guys and FaZe that are probably going to fuck the bet for me this year, because the two teams right now, and I know you probably don't want to hear that about FaZe. I know you love going in on them as well. But like with the signing of ropz right now, which was another one that was meant to be rumored or floating around in a couple of different camps, wasn't it? That he's really, like, they were looking pretty hot when they were playing just today. I know it's super early and we're all overreacting on some best of ones that meant fuck all, but
man, G2 started their year, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is the start of the G2 era now. The Navi one hasn't finished yet, but we're starting the next one. But
bro, the G2 era, it's how many days it's been? Like 7, 5? No,
we came back from the player break on the 16th of January. That's when the player break officially ended.
Wait, no, what am I fucking saying? So many things happened so fast. Today's Tuesday. It's been 4 days. It's a 4-day era, bitch.
There you go. You won some best of ones.
4-day era.
Undefeated in best of ones.
Unbelievable. A whole year undefeated.
You're actually better than Navi at the moment.
Is this a first? A full year undefeated. Put that on HLTV. Fucking create a thread right now.
There we go.
They probably will. But with that ropz situation, can you tell us much about that? Was ropz someone that was actually on the radar?
Yeah, he was. But he didn't fit he did not fit into the system, because we would have to change literally everything, because he would have to play a role that either he wasn't comfortable with, or we would have to change 2 people to make him fit into his role. And
NiKo and Hunter, right?
Exactly. And so that's the problem. And so it doesn't matter how good you are. It's the same as m0NESY. It doesn't matter how good m0NESY is. They're fucking simple.
See, we do know something about the game, man. We were talking about this from the first time we actually heard ropz to G2 could be coming. We're like, how the fuck are they going to make that work?
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't go crazy. We as I said, when I trust team building, we don't go crazy with names anymore. Now it's like what fits here, you know? And yeah, I know that it's gonna get me the most brownie points to get drops, you know? And then you have a fucking full team of Neymars and you hit a lot of heads, but then you just fucking headless chickens. But nah, yeah, I've gone through that already, man, with the fucking however many fucking super teams I built there already.
Talking about signing people, there are a few signings last year that happened that we didn't touch on, and I was just curious about your thoughts on, let's say, maybe missing out because you're missing an offer, and we were saying, like, of course you can't sign an offer mid-season, but there's one offer that got signed mid-season, which is Device. And there's also Glaive was on the market potentially snooping around, and then Magisk went to Vitality, who is potentially someone that can in-game lead. Glaive for sure can in-game lead. Were these people that were like on the radar for you?
We spoke within the rules, of course, with everybody.
There are no rules in Counter-Strike, man. Like,
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
of course, there's fucking rules, bro.
I mean, yes,
What
but
are the
not
rules?
they're
You upset
unwritten
the
rules.
team
They're
owner?
moral.
No, but there's rules. You know, you have to be careful. You know, the ESL agreement. You have to have some tact. You know, and go through. Anyway,
Official channels.
Gotta take him out to dinner first.
So we spoke with everyone, and for Device in particular, what happened there? Yeah, I remember there was something it's too personal for him. Yeah, it's personal for him. It has to do with where he wanted to live and his life situation, and in general, just.
I mean, that's not the really news. Like, he talked about it, like that he just wanted to live in Sweden at the time, right? So it's not
Right. So that's
it's not
public.
Yeah, this is basically what
so-
you were saying. Like, he did want to live in Sweden, and that was a big part of why he wanted to join NIP in the end, right? Like, that
Yeah.
was
So that's part of the reason. And like, look, I'm a big believer that if something is not feeling right or like perfect from the get-go, I mean, not perfect, but like right enough, you know, just don't do it. You know, if he's gonna sign with you and then start guessing or like start double guessing himself, oh, I should have signed with these other guys because I have the boot plays in Sweden or whatever the fuck, and like I have my life there and yada. I don't wanna operate under that premise. I want a team that's all in on G2. I don't want no secondary girlfriends. I don't want to be the first and a half plate. I'm the only plate. You know?
Yeah, no. I think that's the thing. That we obviously know with these orgs, like we've had Yanko refer to like FaZe. What was the football club Yanko used for FaZe before? I don't follow traditional normie sports, whatever the fuck it was. It was basically like FaZe has, got the pressure they're seeing to some big team. Like G2 is another one of those. It makes sense from like an org perspective that there's certain teams which are like winners, right? Quite clearly. And there's certain teams here that are just, well, they're making the best they can do with the money they have and what they can spend, right? And you guys are obviously ones who just throw that cash around. Now, boys, I think we might want to start transitioning. Do we want to go into the quiz? Do we want to go into viewer questions now?
I guess some viewer questions.
Let's do that.
Don't rush shit. Don't rush shit. Okay.
We're not, I'm just trying to work out like how to balance it because this quiz can be fun.
There's an okay question, which was actually a lot of people asked about this, and they asked about a G2 CSGO Academy team. And for some reason, that's like super hot shit these days. And Navi pulled out m0NESY out of their ass essentially. So it's like, are you gonna make a academy team? Is that in the project?
We're actually thinking about this right now, but it's not like in late stages or anything. We're starting to think about it, seeing the success of Navi specifically with m0NESY. But honestly, the principle I follow when getting into new ventures or new things is that we need to have the mind space necessary to make it a banger. Otherwise, we shouldn't do it. It's like that's why we're not in 35 games, and that's why we're not doing 70 things at the same time. We only go into things that we have the staff, the resources, and the mind space for. And so I think we're not ready to get into an academy system that properly scouts, rewards, and gives career path to the players. And I don't want to get that wrong because it's the careers of very early people. I mean, young players that I don't want to fuck over. So yeah, when we're ready, we'll do it.
Okay, cool. I guess we happy with that one.
Yeah.
What else we got, Prof?
Let me see.
I mean, before you get anything, like I was wondering about in general, like we obviously talked about like kind of like the move international, and obviously like it feels like it's a big like this, it's close to your heart, you know, like you obviously have some sort of an idea of where you want the brand to go, and you can't really monetize French people, right?
I mean, you can monetize French people, but with French,
not as easily anyway, I suppose.
I mean, within France, and France has pretty decent CPM actually, and GDP in general. So it's okay. It's just that your whole company has to be structured for the purpose of marketing and commercializing for France. If you make English content, but you commercialize in France for a French brand, and they require you to tweet in French and the player to do stuff in French, there's a problem there. You know, when you have like, you know, in your marketing in your partnership department, 30 people, and those people are English speaking. There's maybe 2 French people, and then you just have to like shoehorn. Is that how you call it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like shoehorn. It's a problem, you know. So again, it's what I told you about Mindspace and like resource allocation. It's like we are an English language global organization, and when a specific asset, specifically that you spend a lot of money on, is one country, one language, that creates a problem when monetizing it and when creating a. I am most importantly careful about the brand, and I mean, look at Vitality. They will never be it doesn't matter what they try. They will never be a global brand. They are a French brand, French DNA. They have their offices in Paris. It will never fucking change. Doesn't matter how many magics you get. Doesn't matter how many perks you buy. Doesn't matter what the fuck you do. Your whole structure, your whole culture, your whole modus operandi is based on French language and region. It will never be global. So that's something I want to walk away from. And unless it makes sense within the context of our strategy to get, like, for example, a Southeast Asian team in a mobile game, or like, you know, something like that, because we want that specific inventory, we won't do it. So I mean, ideally, right? That's a lesson I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering because, like, obviously you kept the French roster, like, considering this kind of like brand you have, right? Like, and you hate to be called a German organization just because.
Yeah, we're not a fucking German organization.
Exactly.
No fucking way. By the way, like, we're in Berlin. I'm in Berlin right now, right? And if I open the door, the only German people you will find are probably like finance team and accountants and like maybe like admin, legal, maybe. Like, just happens to be that way because they need a lot of knowledge.
But what I'm saying is, like,
for how Germany operates with bureaucracy and things of that nature. But we literally don't look for German people. We just look for like really, really good events people or like marketing people, and you know, they sometimes are German, they sometimes are not.
Yeah, but like, obviously, like, considering how long you had a French roster for, like, a lot of people were kind of like considering your French org, you know, we just like kept into that region for such a long time, and then
fuck that. We're not a French. I'm not even Spanish. I'm only Spanish when I sell a Spanish jersey. That's when I make myself Spanish.
So what are we right now?
That.
What did you come into the podcast? What are we dealing with? Is G2? Oh, it's like a planet now. We're gonna.
I'm Australian now, so that I can say cunt.
Yes, you can.
No,
you can.
No, it's my choice. You gotta fucking respect it.
I love that you did that.
Look, we've had Chad say that for the longest time, and then we figured out that YouTube really doesn't like that word. Like, we can say almost anything we want. YouTube really doesn't like that word for some reason.
The C word is not allowed by the overlords over there in Los Angeles, so we'll have
saying it because we get demonetized, and you know, all the ad revenue. You saw the ads at the start. You can imagine how many pennies we're making off of all that shit without viewership, but.
Just mute me. Just put you know.
We'll just cut it.
Lucas, are you here? Lucas, unmute yourself.
Oh,
hello.
He's being called out.
Lucas. So it's 1:15:05 maybe.
All right. Well, let's all have one.
Timestamp that.
Right. That's the timestamp for you, Lucas.
Prof, get one out there.
Nah, I don't feel like it.
I was finding the meme that Striker made.
Oh, that was a good meme.
That
was a good meme.
That wasn't me. That was Hecko, actually.
That was a pretty good meme.
Heck.
Striker, do you want to get one out there? If we're going to be cutting things out of the VOD, do you want to get one out there just for?
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Lucas?
This has to come out like
Lucas,
properly,
now
I
there is
can't
two timestamps you need to follow. It's the one I told you plus 11600.
There's actually an interesting question. You, as someone that is not a hardcore CSGO person, sometimes watch CS. What is your kind of experience as a viewer of CS? Would you there you know, Valorant is MR12. There's a lot of these discussion. Are the games too long? Too many best of threes? Like
if I could make Valorant 15 rounds, I would 100%. I mean 16, I would 100% do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Why?
It's better.
Okay. All right.
Why-
The counter.
why?
You
Straight
just
up.
made a lot of Counter-Strike fans right now.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, I think Valorant 12 rounds, 13 rounds is significantly worse. It's just you win both pistols, and the likeliness of winning the game, it just fucking proposes. It's just like 80% or some shit. It's like ridiculous. I don't think that should be the case unless economy accommodates for it, which it doesn't.
Okay. All right.
So,
well, we don't play a lot of Valorant around here, mate.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't-
I mean,
play
by the way,
and-
like I
fuck
haven't
that.
played Counter-Strike in a long time. I'm decent, right? I'm decent. What's decent? Like, I don't know, global fucking maybe level 9 or something. I don't know. I'm decent, okay?
That's pretty like level
Global
9.
level
pretty
9.
decent, yeah.
Global level 9. I
I'm
like it.
decent. Okay, I'm decent. But I play mostly Valorant. And the reason I do like Valorant more than Counter-Strike right now is because it's easier to be good at. I mean, I'm telling you, I haven't played in 5 months, funnily enough. Yesterday I started playing again. And my level, like when I queue up, I queue against pros, right? Like I see pros in my games. That would be unheard of in Counter-Strike, unheard of. So Valorant has a skill cap that's, I think, significantly lower than Counter-Strike from a single player basis, you know? Maybe as a team, that might change, I don't know. But as a single player, I think it's just significantly easier, and I enjoy winning more than I enjoy losing.
Okay.
That sounds pretty reasonable, yeah. Are you that guy who just like picks up games that are good at them?
I don't know. I don't know. I like shooters, man. I played shooters all my life. Even when I played League of Legends, I was better at shooters than I think at MOBA typically. I mean, I have no brain, bro. Like in game, I have no fucking brain. So I just like to hit heads. And I know at the highest level you need to have a brain, right? But when you play PAGs and when you play solo queue or whatever, especially in Valorant, you can just fucking, swing, just white swing and get the opera with a fucking one tap, and that's like, that's just the best feeling, I'm a good aimer, just no brain.
I find it that you're saying this, and you've got one of the, if not the biggest esports brands in the entire world. It's like, all aim, no brain. I know you're talking about in a gaming aspect, but you're obviously right. I'm sitting here just taking a look, and I've gone, oh yeah, Carlos, he's been doing this for a while. I was looking when you were
but bro, like, I feel like people think there's like only one way to like be successful. But what I've learned is that I didn't have to change one bit to be successful myself, and I just doubled down on my own strengths, which are, I think, creativity, pattern recognition, ambition, and comedy. I'm a fucking clown, and I think those 4 things just work for me. And I have a personal assistant because I can't breathe without one. I haven't cooked a meal in centuries. I haven't cleaned my home in the longest time. I'm incredibly unstructured in my day-to-day. I will be late to every meeting by 5 minutes. That's just the Carlos special. I will ramble about topics, and I will make meetings be slower as a result of my rambling, because I stuck on one topic that might not be the. But I have other things that make me good at my job, and I double down on those. And so yeah, that's me.
Do we have any more viewer questions here? Because I got a couple.
I mean, you can. There's only one. There's one guy that's spamming it in chat as well, and it's the classic. And you probably spoke about this 10 times, but maybe you can just do it very quickly. Not signing ZywOo.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your biggest regret?
I mean, it would be a regret if I wouldn't have learned my lesson. Now I have m0NESY. That means I learned my fucking lesson. He ain't
Or
cheating.
maybe you just overreacted now. Who knows?
Maybe I did. Maybe you're right. What do you want me to tell you? Then I buy ZywOo, and then you interview me again.
Well, I guess we're going to find out soon, right? The real tests for m0NESY are coming up, right? Like Katowice, for example, as far as I'm aware, it's full steam ahead, assuming it doesn't get cancelled. I think it's going to be an event in an arena for this 16-year-old kid. Like, his story could be something crazy if he hits the ground running here. I wanted to go into the social media one because for people who have been watching the show tonight and they're not familiar with you on Twitter, you're also hilarious on Twitter. Like, it's a big part of you on Twitter is the banter and everything, and certain team owners you can get under their skin, right? Quite clearly. But like that kind of I want to say demeanor as far as the banter, right? The playfulness of it all. There's a fine line for that, and you guys managed to not only skirt that for you like individually, but then that kind of resonates throughout the rest of the organization of G2, right? The social media team is known for always having a funny quip or something to say. Like, is that something that you wanted to instill as part of the G2
100%.
identity?
Yeah, 100%. And I tell always to people, look, we will commit mistakes. We will sometimes miss the mark. Sometimes you will go too hard on a player and it will be bad taste. Or on a team, it will be considered bad taste. But you have to go with it, learn a lesson and move on and do it better next time. And yeah, it's just the price to pay to be excellent at something, I think. Like, if you want to be, I mean, bro, like, you want to be like, I don't know, fucking know, like Fnatic, Liquid, Cloud9, Vitality, TSM, 100 Thieves, Faceland. Oh, they played better. Well played. Wow, we could have done much better. And like, I mean,
This voice.
and like, it's like face up. Yo, this is dope. You have to say the dope word like a lot, right? Yeah. So that's just not me, man. I just rather just fail or succeed my own way, And we like to have fun, and yeah, that includes fucking roasting teams and roasting ourselves when we get fucked in the ass.
0-3.
Yeah, 0-3, 0-2.
That's the most fun one.
Fucking NiKo with the deagle. I don't know if you've seen our the song, right? When we like NiKo was just missing the shots. When NiKo was in FaZe Clan, I remember very clearly many people were saying, "Oh my god, you just got someone that is not a brand fit." And I said, "Watch me, bitch." And like, this guy is like just literally, I'm listening to screams. And when the same thing happens with the deagle, he laughs at himself just randomly. And like, when I told him the idea for the video, he was like, "Yeah, fuck you, let's do it," And like, nobody saw NiKo as someone like that. Everybody saw him as someone that was like very salty and like self-conscious. But yeah, when you join G2, you just get into this rhythm of, I mean, I myself, we have these all hands meetings, right? With the whole company. And for example, I mean, I fucked up many times, right? So one of the times I fucked up, we created a jersey with the BMW logo in the middle, right? And I said, because my thought process was like, oh my god, it's like Iron Man. It's like we're propulsed by BMW. That was the idea, right? But and I ran it through my team, and my team was like, bro, I don't think we should do it. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good. And I said, yo, trust me, okay? I could be wrong, but I could be right too. I have a feeling for this. Just go for it. Fucking produced like thousands of them right away. Got a huge backlash from the community, and nobody fucking liked it. And I ate the stock and just produced new ones. And in this all hands meeting, I'm like, yeah, this is my fucking fault. I'm just a fucking idiot. It just happens sometimes. And so those kind of moments create like the perception that vulnerability is like not a big deal, And so that the players see me doing stupid shit for content, and they themselves think like, I mean, if he does it, like, what is so bad about it, And yeah, it's just I mean, it's like, if you have no fear of like failing and like then you're pretty much immortal.
Playing your fucking latest thing.
Oh yeah, there you go. You know how that works, by the way. Like, it was like we were watching the game the other day. We beat Fnatic because fuck Fnatic in League of Legends, and so they were like, yeah, like, we were speaking in WhatsApp, and there was this Cristiano Ronaldo drinking chocolate milk from like a wine glass, and it was like, it's a fucked up meme. I mean, it's like fried and like extremely white. It's extremely ugly. I was like, yeah, let's do it, and he just fucking did it. What's the worst that can happen? That it gets 300 likes and people don't like it as much, or like maybe people say cringe with their fucking stupid demeanor. Like, nobody cares, Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'll do it better next time then. And like, that makes players be less self-conscious,
Yeah, a lot of them really struggle with social media. So like, by setting that tone, it kind of is disarming. We saw it with Nexa, right? Obviously joking when NiKo joined that he was going to get usurped and lose his in-game leadership. Well, that happened. It kind of was a bit of a prophecy right there. But, at the time, we all thought it was pretty funny considering the NiKo storyline, right? All right. Quick one here. Who has the biggest tantrums? Which org or owner or whatever has the biggest tantrums when you have a go when you get stuck in on Twitter? Is there one?
Oh, it's gotta be some Matthews, no?
Yeah, you really like getting under his skin.
Yeah, I mean, it's just people that fear seeming vulnerable are the ones that get the most salty, you know? And when I see that in someone, it's like a card for me, you know? So I'm like, yeah. So when I want to piss him off, I know exactly what to do. And I do it for fun. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? It's just comedy. Just laugh at me.
We're playing video games for a living, right? Like that as the
Yeah, it's
starting
fucking
tone.
video
It's
games.
like,
Like,
what are we
we're
doing?
literally playing video games. Stop crossing your arms and thinking you come from war. Okay, you're not coming from war. You're playing video games. Enjoy it, you know. And just I'm not saying like just be a fucking how do you call it? Like just be careless, right? I'm not saying that, but just have fun, bro. What's like, you know? Yeah, just have fun. It's just it's the G2 way, you know. And I've seen every single time I have seen players that join G2 that don't ease out, they never succeed in the long term. Never. Because there's content to be made. Because the rest of the teams and the teammates and the support staff are there because they're also a culture fit. And you either adapt to it or you just won't survive here, you know?
Okay. All right. Let's go to something that could be fun. We're gonna do a quiz, Carlos. Now we briefed you on this before. Who wants to be a skinionaire? Now that has nothing to do with who wants to be a millionaire. I promise. Basically, right now we're going to do 5 questions, multiple choice. Every question you get correct moves us up a tier of skins. Now, if you get all the way, somebody in chat, some lucky winner who's going to be randomly drawn, who's going to type Bitskins in chat now, could win a $50 skin. Right? And they go down in the tiers right there. You can see it on the screen in front of you. Now, I'm going to read the questions out for you. I can even select them for you here as we do this. So all you have to do is answer. We'll make it nice and easy. Okay. Are you ready?
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
As people's skins on the line.
Yeah.
50 euros on the line.
Skins. They
you know the amount of hate I get when my fucking team just doesn't win a best of one, and I get and I get all the curvas in Twitter just right away. Just straight up, all the bliats, all the curvas directly at me, as if there's fucking something I can do about it.
Do you ever say anything about the Brazilian community?
Yeah, I've said it many things.
They're the scary ones. Those are the ones right there. They
yeah,
don't
but
let
actually,
up.
you know, they actually like me, bro. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah?
Why would any? Yeah, I don't know why they like me, but they like me, bro. It's like it doesn't matter what I say. They're always like, "Ah, he's fucking funny, bro." It's great, you know. I love it. I love it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And by the way, like I think that people just take it too seriously. Like, you know, like the come to Brazil thing, they're using it themselves as a fucking meme. They're not telling you come to Brazil because we will fucking kill you. It's just, I think people, and it's just, you know, it's different cultures have different ways of have comedy, you know, of humor. That's my take on it. Maybe hot take.
A lot of it is.
Maybe hot take.
Even
Hopefully
if
most
they
of it's
say
in good fun.
come to Brazil, we'll kill you. Sometimes that's also a joke. but sometimes it's not really. You can't really understand it based on the words that are coming.
Yeah, sarcasm
out.
doesn't really translate.
It's really hard to understand.
Yeah, dude, sarcasm in writing form by a non-native, and it's even worse if you Google Translate whatever they're saying. It's like you're never gonna get it right. It's just you're never gonna grasp the actual intentions.
Yeah, I miss it all the time. It's very difficult for me, but I try. All right, now we're going to try this quiz. Are you everybody ready? Everybody sitting down. Lucas, Mr. Producer Man, are you ready? Yes. All right, so I tried. Jinx, you can't speak anymore for the rest of the show. All right, question number 1. The organization entered CSGO. Now, this is about G2. Entered CSGO with a Polish roster. Who was the captain of the 2015 Gamers 2? Innocent? Instantly. Yeah. All right, locking it in. Locked in. And the reveal.
Bro, like, that's people think like I just say I work, but I don't. Like, what is this?
Well,
like people just think I'm just playing League of Legends like all times while my team just works.
I'm just gonna say Prof is responsible for these questions, so direct your hate at him.
We have to start easy.
So okay, oh shit. Okay, well now I'm scared.
Question 2.
Don't ask me for actual real names.
Who did G2 beat to lift their last big event trophy in CSGO at DreamHack Malmo? Was it A, North, B, NIP, or C, NAVI?
Definitely not Navi. That much I know. What was the first? I can't see properly.
North? You might not even remember them.
Yeah, North.
NIP.
Worthless. NIP is NIP. No. No. That's the finals or what?
Well, the
grand final, yeah.
G2 beat to lift their last big event trophy in CSGO at DreamHack Malmo.
No, it's not NIP because I remember we made them quiet in semifinals. Yeah, so we made the crowd quiet in semifinals. So it's gonna be North.
Locking in North.
Yes.
And here it is, the reveal. Correct. 2 out of 2.
Fucking go! Woo!
All right. I tried to bait you by saying like North or nobodies, but we got there. All right. Question 3. I'm flying through these. G2 were briefly on top of the HLTV ranking in 2020, but in which years did they peak at number 2?
Wait. Lucas, do you mind? I can't listen.
Or
was it Lucas?
That was Prof. Don't worry.
Lucas, do you mind? I can't listen to the question.
I'm going again. You ready?
Yes.
G2 were briefly on top of the HLTV ranking in 2020, but in which years did they peak at number 2? 2021, 2021 and 2017, 2021, 2017.
What is this fucking question? I can't say that.
I don't know either.
So what is this question? Is very wrongly formulated.
Well, look, I'm not gonna lie. You got 15 seconds to pick an answer right here. You got A, B, or C.
Okay, we're revealed of the HLTV ranking in English, but in which years did they peak second? 2021.
Just 21.
2021.
I've just locked in B here. It's randomized. We've randomized here. We didn't get an answer in time. This has never happened before. This is a first.
Really? It's not my fault.
HLTV confirmed, and the correct answer was 21, 17, and 16.
Oh, wait, it's because there's more years in there. Bro, what is this shitty way to formulate a question and answers?
You're gonna have
to
take
garbage. Lucas, this is on you.
No,
this is on you.
I think it's on Lucas. I'm pretty sure it's on Lucas somehow.
No.
This is on you. The chat is losing skins thanks to you.
Nothing.
Fucking garbage formulation of a question.
We'll have to take this one up with the commissioner. We will file an official report at the questioning with the commissioner.
Maybe you can appeal it, and we'll get if everything else. If you get everything else correct,
we'll have an appeal at the end.
Next time, can you guys have like an English native formulating the questions and the answers?
Mr. Carlos,
we'll see if we can hire one.
Carlos, I'm very sorry. I'll give you a level. It's okay.
Wait, you're going to do it at the end.
No, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now.
Beta producer backing down.
Question 4. The money for the skins comes out of my back pocket. All right. What was m0NESY's rating at the Academy League Season 2 finals? Was it 1.30? Was it 1.90?
Who the fuck watches that, brother?
Well, the only games that you could have watched him play were, unfortunately for you, in the Academy League. Unless you just watch him play FPL.
Like, specifically scout humans myself? Like, do you think I watched these fucking leagues? Academy League Season 2
This is more of a
finals?
knowledge.
What the fuck is this, man?
This is more of a general knowledge.
I hate these questions. I hate these questions. Fucking dozens of viewers know these answers.
Let's just say, like, 2 of these answers are ridiculous, like based on like just general knowledge of the stats and
maybe you can ask for a hint.
Alright, so m0NESY was playing against cheaters, and then I'm assuming he got a 3.10. Okay, 3.10. There you go.
Strike, you want to try that here? Strike, you want to answer it for him?
Fucking largest rating.
We're going with A.
It's gonna be 130. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going with A. We're going with A. The responses alone, they may as well give him the answer correct. Yeah, 1.30. If you got a 3.1, he would be a mutant, and you probably should have paid twice as much for him, even if it was against Academy players.
All of these questions are here.
I'll have a talk with m0NESY. Fucking playing against tier 17 players and getting 1.3, unacceptable.
Literally, s1mple in the major had like 1.4. Like, why did you buy this?
Yeah, but he was playing against players with eyeballs. Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
This is fucked up.
Do you feel scammed now?
I feel scammed. Somebody took advantage of me.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Let's do question number 5, and we'll see if we can get the $50 skin
Okay, let's
for
go for
everybody.
the legendary. Let's go.
Okay. What is the cumulative map score of the grand finals NAVI and G2 played in 2021? Was it 0 wins, 3 losses, 0 wins, 5 losses?
Okay, map score.
Yes. Just added up map score. Of
Okay,
the
but
grand
this is
finals.
wrong. This is straight up wrong. Okay, first of all, we haven't played 53 fucking times against them. Okay.
I mean, that you know it's not the right question. It's not answerable.
Like, we haven't fucking played 53 times against Navi. Okay. Like fucking every
I don't know.
second day.
Well, then
Maybe
you know it's
you
not
have-
the right answer, right?
All right.
I think this
know,
one's
listen,
easy.
None of this is right.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
We actually won 2 maps against them.
Not
Not
in
the
the
grand
final.
Not in finals.
Ah,
Not
not
in
in finals. Okay. Hey.
3
You're right.
seconds, 2
0 5,
seconds.
0 5, 0 5, 0 5, 0 5.
Yep. You're right. I'm impressed with the 3 losses without winning a map over 2 consecutive years in 3 consecutive LAN finals. That one right there, that is like the meme team should really have fun with that. That run, that I think you guys are going to break it this year. Actually, I actually think you might win a big one. I don't know how big.
Listen, otherwise, I just become a monk and I start raising sheep. You know, just think about it. Like I can have like an assortment of sheep, and just be happy.
Okay. Sheep is the
Assortment of
answer.
sheep.
All right, I like it. Now we do have a winner. We gave you all 5 because that question. You're right. We've got it through the commissioner. Prof is going to have to now check all the questions with a native English speaker. We are going to hire one.
We don't have any.
I don't count.
Chad is an English speaker, technically.
He's Australian. Doesn't
Yeah,
count.
doesn't count.
No, but Chad is like above the pay grade of proofreading. No.
Nah, we can pay him. We have enough money.
No, but
Have
he's
you seen
above
all
the
the
pay
sponsors
grade.
of the show.
Bro, look at this. Xtrfy, Party Match, Bitskins.
Yeah,
You guys are buying
we're balling out of control.
supercars. Every
We're-
week you just buy a supercar.
We're balling out of control. All right, we have a winner. It is m0NESY, MAIGNUS. It's been following since 2018, so congratulations. You've
Hey,
won the skin. We'll reach out to you. We'll get that one sorted. And we're just going to take a quick little ad break to make that money to pay me to proofread the questions from now on. So be right back.
The Xtrfy M42 RGB, what a fun mouse with 5 colorways, lightweight frame at just 59 grams with the swappable backplate to suit your grip style, the sensor, the easy core, the smooth skates, and driverless control for RGB and DPI is why you should check out the M42 RGB down below.
Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parimatch, your esports teammate. Buy and sell your skins now. Easy, fast, and safe. The best skin site. Credit card deposits and withdrawals. Instant cash out methods. Get the best deals. Quick, simple, reliable. Bitskins.com.
We're back, and Carl's gone for a mic drop moment here. He's just gone out to the lavatory. He'll be back any moment. And we're just going to talk a little bit about the blast groups with Carlos when he returns, obviously mainly about the G2 stuff. And then I think we might let him go, guys. We can jump into chewing into the rest of the blast groups, the recent news, and maybe talk a bit about Pinnacle Cup results today.
He's
So
tweeting from wherever he is.
is he?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How do you know? I'm trying
because
to
I'm just looking at like literally he tweeted like 10 seconds ago.
tweets and replies. I meant change that role. What the fuck, clickbait? Get me out. Okay, well, he's look, he's active at least. He's having fun. Now, I hope everyone's enjoying this tonight. It's obviously a little bit different. Have we had a CEO of any organization on the show before? We haven't.
Confirmed, I think.
No. So this is a bit
it's
different. It's a
new.
bit fun. And Carlos is full of energy, which is great. It's making up for the 3 of us. And well, Lucas, you got some energy, I guess. Do we want to? I guess we should wait for him before he gets back. Because
We can talk about a general vibe of the group stage. Like, what did you like? All of the best ones and stuff like that. Was it up to your liking?
I'm going to be honest. Like I think I said in our little Discord group that I like the format because it meant that we got to see everybody play. But I don't like the format because everybody overreacted at best of ones that essentially mean nothing. Right? That's the bit.
We can hear him in the background.
We can eavesdrop on this here. We're having fun either way.
People are just yelling, but yeah, that was kind of that comes with the territory, right? You get best of ones, new teams, but I don't know. Did people actually overreact? I didn't really follow the the reaction. I did see. I know Pimp on the broadcast after I don't know.
What the fuck are you guys doing on Twitter, man? I'm just taking a leak, and you motherfuckers are clickbaiting. That's what you're doing. You're clickbaiting.
I think that was the social team.
Social team, suck my dick.
I
Go
mean,
tweet this. Go tweet this, social team.
There you go. All right, the social team. I'm sure they're on that right now.
He's trying to bully us into deleting something like he bullied Nexa into taking that bad deal when he left Crazy. So it's not going to work.
You didn't ask that question either.
That is true. That is true. We kind of left.
Is it a controversial question? Does Carlos even know this was in an interview with Nexa recently?
I mean, he probably does.
Where?
There was just some comment from Nexa when he joined OG. He was asking about whatever orgs and stuff like that. Then he mentioned that he needed to pay a part of his buyout to join G2. And that was semi-controversial, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when a trade happens, when a trade happens, you pay an amount of money to buy the player, right? If that amount of money is not mutually agreed upon between the two parties, the two teams, right, then the trade doesn't happen. If the team you're trying to buy the player from squeezes you to get more money, otherwise the trade doesn't happen, then you have two options. Either you don't make the trade happen. I mean, you go into the bank and see if you can get more, I guess, which already happened. We hit our limit. Or you speak with the player and say, hey, bro, this is how much we can do. They're asking us for this much more. Are you okay with us just going a little further and pay a percentage of it, of the extra ourselves, and a percentage of the extra perhaps paid from future prize money that you earn until you pay us back that amount of money, and then you just get normally. I don't know if I can remember exactly Nexa's contract, but that's a very normal. And then, I mean, technically, yeah, he helped buy that contract, if that's what happened. I actually can't remember. I really can't. So maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. Maybe my esports guys are like, no, that's not true. Actually, we didn't pay shit. I mean, he didn't pay shit. I don't know. But it's a very normal thing to do. It's very, very normal, you know? If it's just way too expensive, then you ask the player, hey, man, listen, this is what we can do. You want to help to make this happen, yes or no? If the answer is yes, then you try to get creative with how he can help. It's just fucking normal. There's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be outraged about.
Yeah, I mean,
the trade wouldn't have happened, and he would have stayed in Crazy. So I mean, good luck.
He'd be kind of fucked at the moment. Then
wasn't that
the rest of his teammates?
There were some comments about it, but nothing extra. I feel like if it was a smaller org, it would probably be a bigger deal. People would be up in arms about it. But I guess G2 has good rep overall, so it wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, it's almost like I've been fucking around for like 15, 16 years. Like at this point, you would have known me by now. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a fucking saint. I'm not a demon either. I make business, and sometimes if it's too much money that I can't pay, the trade doesn't happen. And sometimes the player wants to make it happen, so it even comes from them sometimes. Hey, is there anything I can do? Can I help this? I can't exactly remember because it was a fucking 2 years ago or something how this happened, but I know it was very challenging. It was very, very challenging. Like Crazy did not want to sell. We had to play very aggressive and put myself at risk, the company at risk. Go very, very aggressive to make the trade happen. So,
is that something?
I mean, I can clearly imagine that the player paying a portion of it, which in the grand scheme of things, considering the total payout, is probably a very small amount. Seems to be normal. I mean, it would be standard in that case. Possible, yeah.
Yeah, there's probably lots of stuff that isn't super public about a lot of these contracts, right? Like the contracts I signed back when I was in Renegades with Monte Cristo and Chris Badawi being the owners of it, it was like Mickey Mouse stuff, right? It was ridiculous. I was getting paid through fucking PayPal, you know, like it was stupid. And that's
Yeah,
the
I have a couple of stories. Not with Monte. I actually like Monte. But with the
Badawi.
Yeah.
Or Badawi. We haven't heard from him in many years. I don't know where he went.
Yeah, well, you know, it always happens, you know.
They're lurking somewhere.
Something happens, people get outraged at it, but then some time passes and you're like, what the fuck is that person? Nowhere to be seen. It's just how things are, you know. Like what goes around comes around. For the same reason, people that you see today succeeding and have been succeeding for the longest time, there must be a reason why they succeed. You know, they must be good at something.
And that's why hopefully I get to stay for a little while longer. We'll see how long I can milk this shit for. Now, Carlos, I want to talk about your team having an era in 2022, kicking off Blast, best of ones, looking fucking fantastic.
Better record than Navi already.
So how much overreaction was there in G2 headquarters when these best of one wins came in, which is just seeding for the next stage?
I mean, I don't know, bro. I mean, we were just really. I mean, it was a perfect weekend as well because we won everything in Rocket League. We won the championship in North America, and we won in League of Legends also 2-0 with rookies as well. Beat Fnatic, which is always great. And so it was a perfect weekend, right? So we were like through the roof. Like we were very, very hyped. And actually, the office has even more CSGO fans than League fans. So everybody was watching, you know. And yeah, I mean the copium and the hopium is through the roof right now, of course. But at the same time, we're not stupid, you know. It's best of ones. We could have lost 16-8 in Mirage, you know. We're not the greatest team the world has ever seen, you know. There's a lot to work on, and the 16-year-old kid is still a 16-year-old kid, and he will commit 16-year-old kid mistakes. And I hate patience, as I said. I'm not patient, but I like context, and we have to look at the success of G2 with the context of we just rebuilt in mind. New coach, new IGL, new upper, and the upper is 16 years old. So you have to work with that context.
Yeah, but I mean, that's already a lot to be excited about. Like if you look at m0NESY, like I think a lot of people were kind of curious about how he would do in his debut. Obviously, like nobody fucking knew how he would do against tier 1 teams. You know, we've never seen him play against those teams. We wouldn't know if he would just shut down and not be able to play against them like early on until he got used to the pressure, and obviously big organization behind him like Navi obviously were before, but it wasn't the same kind of stakes, right? So like for a 16-year-old kid who never played at tier 1 events, who never played against the tier 1 fucking team apart from like scrims, like he actually played fucking well. Like I have to say, like that was definitely a big question mark, and so like that makes me really excited about this team because like that was one of the biggest question marks for sure.
Yeah, and like it's so easy to be very good at the game, especially when you're young, and be close-minded to criticism and feedback. Very easy. But man, this guy, I remember watching a scrim against a top team, and he dropped 41, I think.
Somebody posted that screenshot. It was like 14,
No,
44, 18.
20, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a different one.
Okay.
And so this one, he drops 41, and the first thing he does is he asks Extas, or he says to Extas that they need to walk through the demo together because he feels like there's so much he can improve on, you know. And it's like it's the first thing that comes to his mind. And when he gets told by someone, "Hey, do this," "Oh, I think you should have not pushed here. You should have waited for info. You should have," you know, stuff like that. He never, ever, I've never heard him take it defensively and just takes it in the chin, you know? If he has a different opinion, he'll say it, but he takes it on the chin and just, he has a perfect mindset, man. I think this guy will succeed regardless. It's a matter of time.
Okay.
Yeah, all the signs are fucking there. Like it even
really
like
quick.
he takes so much in, like I mean that like skill like completely like we knew he was skilled, like there was no question about it, right? But it's just kind of like the initiative that he's taking. He's actually being kind of aggressive, like taking duels. He's not afraid to make mistakes. You know, that's the big part for me. Like he's a 16-year-old kid, again, never played at this level, and he's just like going for opening kills alone and like making moves, you know, and that's something that I wasn't sure he would be able to do like off the bat, you know. And so to see him do it Literally,
he's very
first
smart
match,
about the
man.
game. Like you
Yeah.
would think that someone so young. I mean, he's just very smart. I mean, he's not only. I remember this fucking Kobe pasta from. I remember a Kenny's flick, you know, like it comes to my head. But actually, not only do his plays on his play style, create a lot of room for moments like those from Kenny, right? Because I mean, his flicks are like, I feel like you know, I remember speaking. Who was speaking with? Maybe like I don't know, someone like Get Right or someone like I can't remember exactly. Right? But I remember I always play sniper and deagle, right? That's my favorite thing, right? And I always be like, yeah, my my playstyle with the sniper is I flick. It's like, well, that's not a playstyle. You can't just fucking flick. You know, that's not a thing. You know, you flick when you need to. You don't flick just as a playstyle. But it feels to me like m0NESY puts himself in situations where he has like two angles and he's ready to flick right away. You know, like, and that happens so often, and it's just a very unorthodox way of playing up. I don't know if you guys have realized, but it's like very unorthodox. Like typically they will have
this.
Yeah, there's literally 2-3 players in the world that do this, right? And instead of taking like one angle, they have 1.5 angles almost, right? And it's like they just rely on the flick, and he does the same. So that's good. But then on the other hand, he's very smart about the game. Like he, and don't take it from me, take it from his teammates and from Extas. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He knows the game. He knows the video game. He knows the basics of Counter-Strike, of pressure. If they're pushing me, the op is in B and stuff like that. It's like basics. He understands those by default. He's like the new wave of Counter-Strike players that grow up watching the likes of Shox, s1mple, and all these, Kenny and these legends, and they, like a sponge, extract all that information in like days. Information that these players needed years to develop. So then this guy just comes out, starts playing, and all these things to him are obvious.
That's the one thing, like, we noticed. Well, I noticed from watching, I'm sure a lot of people did at home in the games, it's just how quick he was as well. Like the mechanical side of it, there's sometimes it looks like he gets caught off, but there's other times like it's like for old man eyes like me, I got to watch it back a couple times. I didn't even see the fucking guy that he saw, right? It's like,
yeah, same here.
So one of the rounds on Inferno where he jumps up on the scooter right near Graveyard and he gets 2 quick kills there, and you hardly even see.
I don't even know what. I still don't know the second kill where he shot. I still don't know. I still don't know where the guy came from.
Yeah, this is the thing with how quick the kid is.
There were several moments like that, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I think that like it's interesting to see how this is going to develop here. Unfortunately, this was online, right? Obviously, because of the COVID. Does this feel like it's a good way for the team to start the year, Carlos? Has there been discussions about it's online and it's best of ones?
They want events, man. They want like physical events. They're like, they just want it, man. They want it.
I think we obviously heard from like NiKo, which when he came out of the break, right? There's more motivation than the major was coming, all that kind of stuff. And we saw him just being absolutely like bad out of hell. And he's continuing that really good form, right? We're seeing more of that out of him. So you've obviously got a lot of good pieces going. And this team could be, we talk about this a lot in Counter-Strike. I don't know if it's the same in League of Legends. We talk about a honeymoon period, right? Before things kind of settle in.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. So in this situation, right, you unfortunately, or it depends, fortunately, maybe because there's so many roster changes, it goes blast groups, that'll end, and then pretty much straight into Katowice after a week break. And that's a big event, right? What's the projection like? Is it like, okay, well, we need to make playoffs at this event, or is it like you're gonna ride this out for the first couple months?
We don't think results, right? We just think like, it's funny because the more you think about results, the less results you typically get, You just go there with the mindset of, I mean, you've been a player. You go there with the mindset of, let's just do what we practiced, and let's hope we play in officials like we practice, which often is a problem for most teams. Actually, a lot of teams are scream gods or prac gods, right? And then they don't show it in the event because in pracs everybody's more careless. In pracs there's way less tension, so you're loose, and so we don't think about the result. And even as G2, the goal is to win majors and be the best team in the world, but we don't extrapolate it tournament by tournament. The tournament is happening. Let's just play it.
Okay. Yeah, it's because what you were saying before about winning and obviously wanting to win majors. I just was curious, like obviously the goal is to win, but how ambitious you were about this one, like kicking off straight away with all the
Yeah,
good
I mean, as
pieces
I
you have.
said, not patient, but at the same time, I'm not stupid. I got the context, right? I don't expect us to be like unbeatable straight away. But the reason this team got put together is because I think there is a high chance of us becoming unbeatable if we. I mean, unbeatable. As unbeatable as Navi was in 2021, as unbeatable as Astralis was in the Astralis era, whatever, That's my goal, and that's what I aim for. And I've aimed for that in the last 4 years, 5 years already, and I have accomplished it not a single time. But that's the aim and that's the goal, and eventually we'll get it right. I think this is the time. It really feels good.
All right, boys. Do we have much more for the G2 questioning or stuff for Carlos here? Because I think
I
what
don't
we're going to
think
get into
so,
now
yeah.
is probably going to get boring.
Yeah,
right? We're
not
about to.
boring for our viewers.
Well, for
but-
Carlos, it's not G2
Yes,
related, and we're going to
yes.
sit here and talk about how Bubzkji got fucked up as the sixth man on the bench, and how BnTeT has rejoined TYLOO,
I mean,
and who he's possibly going to be
Astralis
replacing.
fucking up is right up my alley.
You like talking
No,
about
I'm
that?
kidding. I'm kidding. No, yo. Honest. I mean, like, no joke. Like, fuck Astralis, but yeah, I'm not gonna stay here to talk about Bubzkji, okay?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So I think what we'll do right now, Carlos, because this has been fantastic. It's great. I enjoy the amount of times that you've said fuck another org. That's been really fun, right? That tends to be the tone that I go with, and it's normally about NIP. But normally when towards the end it's a player, and I go, do you want to say anything to the fans, the community, and stuff? Like I give you the same kind of runway here. I assume you've probably got something a little bit more eloquent than what most of the players have to say to the viewers at home.
And with more fucks as well.
I don't know, bro. I mean, this is pretty simple. If you we care a lot about winning, but the journey to get there for us has to be fun. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So yeah, any fans that want to have fun, and I'm not gonna piss my balls every time we lose a game, and then m0NESY, I lost my fucking skin. No, I don't give a shit. Okay, if you lost your skins, I'm sorry for you. I'm not even sorry for you. Actually, you fucking deserve it. You absolute idiot. And that's my reaction to it. Okay, just if you want to have fun, if you're tired of seeing on Twitter all the bullshit bad news, everybody complaining about everything getting canceled, then come and follow us, or follow me, and you'll laugh. If you're pissed about not winning a single tournament because you're a fan of a team that doesn't win a single tournament, either become Ukrainian or Russian and a Navi fan, or just come over, because everybody else fucking sucks. Okay, and that's it. If you're sensitive to cursing, don't follow us. If you're sensitive to fun, don't follow us. And yeah, it's not gonna change a thing, honestly. Do whatever the fuck you want. Enjoy life and go fuck yourselves.
Beautiful. All right. Well,
You're forgetting one thing, Carlos,
I'm not.
and don't ask for free jerseys.
You can ask for free jerseys. I'm just gonna say no, and I'm actually gonna take time from my day to say no.
All right. Well, everybody go and tweet at Carlos now and ask for a free jersey. Give him a lot of replies to do after this. Now, thank you, Carlos, for joining us. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Lucas, how do we segue?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye bye,
go.
everybody.
Just
Bye.
go.
I'm just gonna leave. Okay.
Yeah, I
bye
like
bye.
it.
Thank you to chat for watching, and enjoy life. Have a beautiful what day is today? Whatever it is.
Tuesday.
Whatever. Bye.
Bye. I liked it. All right. He's gone. He's here. He's gone, and that was fantastic. It was good to speak to him. Good to hear a couple of the finer details there about G2 and what goes into it all. All right, boys. Do we just keep the ball rolling? Do we jump back to the recent news?
No, let's do blast. And
Okay,
then
let's just do
to the
blast first.
recent
Yeah, might
news.
as well.
Okay, so do we I feel we've obviously spoken about G2 a lot, and people know the majority of our feelings, and I think
Yeah.
the team was kind of at where everybody expected it.
Alexi.
Is that what the chat's
This
saying?
is Twitch chat. This is Twitch
Okay.
chat. We
What do
have
they want
about
us to say?
Alexi. He didn't talk about Alexi. He talked about like vaguely about Alexi. We're gonna but please let's go back. Let's talk about Alexi again. Like, okay, please calm down.
Just to put it in context for everybody, right now, if you missed the blast groups, it was best of ones.
Alexi was there.
Alexi was there. It was an interesting format, basically just to determine seeding for the next round of play, which is the gauntlet, which is kicking off on Thursday. They have a 3-day break. So they beat Complexity, who's a newly formed roster with Grim and Junior, who JT was the highest performing player in that best of one.
Odd enough, yeah.
Yeah. You then beat NIP, who has phzy standing in for Device while he's out twice, and one of the games was overtime game, double overtime game actually. So
definitely an era in the building. Like
look,
this is an era worthy 3 maps that they played.
This is the thing that like I don't know. They're obviously from those with brains. There probably wasn't a lot of overreacting about a lot of this stuff, right? This is for a lot of these teams, their debut with brand new rosters in an official environment against the other best teams in the world, right? You've seen tonight, if you've been watching some of the Pinnacle Cup games, Fnatic lost. We had Heroic lose, and we had Furia lose. All the teams who were invited to the quarterfinal of the Pinnacle Cup, and they're all teams who are much better than the opposition that they lost to started the season with those losses. So the thing is, with this blast format and these franchise teams, all of these teams just got around, like these are scratch matches, we would call this in Australia as far as it comes to something like this. They're like you run around the park. The results at the end of the day, especially if you're Navi, probably don't matter too much. The thing is now they have to go through a gauntlet of a bracket, right? You have to play many more games, but to get yourself
not even
in shape,
many more. Honestly.
Well, there's a couple of best of threes, right? But the way that I look at this is, if you're these teams, this is the group stage to qualify you for the spring finals. You also get a chance in the showdown if you don't qualify here because you're the partner teams. If anything, I would just be wanting to get free practice against other rosters to see who's where and prep my map pool for Katowice, which is just around the corner. It's like not to detract from Blast, but it's like, what are the priorities? You're all franchise teams who are going to be here no matter what. Like, unless you're MIBR and you continue to come last, then you might have a couple question marks. But for everybody else, right? Like we know what the situation is here. So, look, nobody impressed me and nobody overly disappointed me. And people can come here and they can go, yeah, but now we lost.
Talking about Group A or in general?
All of it.
In general, okay.
Like none of it. I'm not sold on any of it, and I'm not upset with any of it. Like I just. What excited me was getting to see them go out into the park and trot around and pass the ball to each other and see, this guy's done his stretches and this guy's been hitting the physio, right? Like you could see who's in shape and who wasn't, and now they get a bit of extra time to pull their socks up and get ready to go again, right?
Right.
Different teams, like Big, for example, that's their second event of the year already, right? And so we can jump all over the shop here, boys. I don't know. I think just what's your key takeaway, Prof, of this group? Do you have a name? Do you have a team that you want to
We're talking about Group A. Now we're Group A now.
Just jump all over the place. Because to me, it
doesn't really matter, to be honest.
For me, Group A was not that interesting. Probably the most boring one out of all. Like what I was looking at in G2 is it was in Group A was G2, right? And m0NESY and how the team's gonna fit. And we saw NiKo bang out heads, and m0NESY showed individually some good things, some like okay things, but they weren't really tested. Like m0NESY was the second worst rated player on the team, I think, or something like that, and had a 1.11 rating. So you see how ridiculous and irrelevant that is overall. And three maps. They played 3 maps. This is like one best of 3, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really
all in the same day as well.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to me to look at the specific maps like Mirage, who's playing where, what were the changes like, and stuff like that. So those were kind of the initial takeaways, and for me it was fun to see that. But other than that, it was kind of more or less as expected, like Complexity finishing last, Big beat them, and then NIP did okay, actually, like did better than we maybe expected overall. That's kind of the takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in general with Group A. I mean, there's still like a lot of good takeaways from G2 in general. Like I was already talked about the m0NESY one. I think, like, I just wasn't sure like what kind of guy we would see. Like if he would make the same exact plays he would normally, and if he wouldn't. And as far as I could tell, he was still just about as like obviously he's kind of more of a passive opera, but like he was just about as aggressive as I would have seen him otherwise. When I was watching him in like the We Play Academy League. And he made like several moves, that were impressive to me, that he actually had the balls to push certain things like outside a nuke and shit like that, just like going for aggressive angles like that. Or, the Inferno thing. Like he clearly doesn't really care, like he doesn't seem to have that much pressure. And he said something along those lines in one of those interviews. And obviously, like you can take away as much as you want from that. Like it's like obviously when he gets to certain situations, he's gonna get nervous. And I think like once they got into like those overtime scenarios at the end, I'm sure there was something. He must have felt something. But in general, like I was impressed with him, not necessarily because of the stats or anything like that. I think just pure eye test, just looking at him making his moves, I was impressed by that.
I think one of the keys pointing out there, like the little details, that overtime game and the Mirage game, I think it was like the first half, he was, for the majority of the game, he was just like humming along. He wasn't doing it, and then he found himself and actually started contributing, and then they did end up getting across the line, right? I think that's good, especially for him. If you want to narrow on down, he's still, he's still going to have those woes, but those kind of learning experiences for him in pressure games, even though for everybody else on the team, probably no pressure. Best of one, like I said, doesn't really mean a whole lot. This is more for the confidence of the team going forward.
Yeah.
That's what these teams are winning is, oh, our project is working right away. Let's keep doing this. It feels good. As opposed to how it must feel if you're in one of these other teams who, lost in an OT game, or, you think you just added more firepower and that firepower is not working just yet. So I think there's quite a few things. I think NIP, just focusing on Hampus, is still continuing to be their best player.
Yeah. I think I mean, obviously best of ones and blah, blah, blah. But it's actually kind of interesting the way that they've actually been able to stay competitive, even after losing device. It doesn't really make sense to me. Like on paper, like I'm looking at this team and I'm like, this shouldn't be competitive. Like it shouldn't be like a top 10 team. Like this should be like a top 15 team, maybe sometimes taking wins against some of these like the top 5 contenders, but like they actually look decent.
Yeah.
So that's like the surprising part.
Well, the thing is with phzy, I don't think like the problem with phzy is we only think he's there temporarily, depending on what happens with his device situation, right? So let's take NIP and device that he's going to return. This phzy thing is temporary, so it's so hard to put anything in this. But it's not the first time that Hampus has had to have a new player come into the team that he didn't even know was probably going to be there, right, Prof? So,
and this out of all of the NIP youngsters that came in, like phzy seems the best. Just like he seems pretty comfortable, and he's playing a role that isn't. You can't just hide him away. And this could also be a part of why the other guys didn't succeed. But you can't have an opper and put him to anchor positions or whatever. Just be this kind of fifth guy on the team. They actually put him in the roles where he should be, and he's doing quite okay. Like it's not. He's not the new s1mple, but he could be a very good opper. You can see a trajectory where he becomes, maybe a man to a Bubzkji or something like this. Like I don't see any
comparisons. Yeah,
I don't see why he couldn't be that in the future. Like, I mean, I'm not saying he will be, but he just could be, right? So that also helps keeping them competitive overall. Like if he was on the level of the other academy players that came in, it wouldn't be impossible. It would be impossible.
He has to find impact though. It's just that role, right? Like with ZTR and LNZ, for them it was a little bit different. For this guy, he has to find impact. And yeah, we were impressed with him early. Let's see if that continues. Complexity, I liked what I saw even when they were playing with JT on 200 ping. Like I like some of the concepts and ideas that they have and whatnot, and they have a good looking game plan, right? I think we need Grim and Junior and Floppy, right, have to be the star trio of the team. Even though JT had some games where he was getting a lot done, we all know this is the thing, right? Counter-Strike without stats would be something that we wouldn't be talking about with these star trios and shit. But we know that somebody has to put out the work, put out the frags, and there was just certain things I was watching with them where maybe it's still new and fresh. On Nuke, I was watching earlier. I was like, okay, so who's playing like deep warehouse with the rifle? Some rounds, like I thought Fang was there. Some rounds, I thought Floppy was there. Maybe I was completely wrong, and that but I felt like just some of those little things of players who are in positions where they have to get frags. They weren't in some occasions, but they did. They were coming back on one of the maps. It was the G2 series, right, where they were coming back a bit and actually made it relatively interesting. So there was a couple of moments then, but they lost OC, who was the star of Xtrfy. So it's going to take some time, right? Junior can't just plug in and give them that, right? It's going to take some time. So that'll be interesting. Let's jump. Do you guys want to jump to Group B?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Let's do that.
Which
MIBR NAVI. What a great start to the group.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? I thought we got rid of the old trope of NAVI just starting the tournament poorly, but apparently it didn't go well for them. Now, there was reports that there was like packet loss issues or server issues for a couple of them while playing. Like,
I mean, they were playing from this like new boot camp place. If you saw, NAVI also posted like a video. I saw some like 3D designs before it was actually announced. And I guess they were just making these like boot camp apartments, a couple of them across Kiev. So I guess I'm presuming it's on their side that the issue, like, or it was a new place, so not everything was super tested out, right? I guess that's kind of what caused the issues. I don't know. No one took the blame essentially, so I don't know what actually happened. But apparently, s1mple and Perfecto were having packet loss, not 40%, but 10 to 15. So
which is still in Counter-Strike pretty fucking miserable.
Definitely tilting, definitely annoying, and MIBR actually like they played kind of with a lot of confidence. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, I mean the stand-in was the one kind of banging out, right?
And
he's the best player.
And that's the interesting thing. I don't want to try and pronounce his name because Anders was doing it on the broadcast. I think he'd do a much better job than what I would, right? I don't want to butcher it right now. It takes me some time. I got to go practice in the fucking mirror. But it is spelled BRNZ4N.
His first name is Breno, so we can call him that.
Okay.
Breno. Okay. Essentially, like every Blast group stage, the MIBR has some new guy with a weird name, and I just enjoy listening to Anders and whoever he's casting with, just trying their best and just pronouncing that name. Good shit every time, it seems like.
It's always so weird, but I think here MIBR, when we were talking about this in the lead up, for me, I was like, well, they shouldn't even be here, right? But the fact that they came in and in the best of ones, at least, we have to see how it pans out in the best of threes. They were actually able to win a game against NAVI, right? So that's going to do a lot for at least their individual confidence as players, and hopefully more can come out of some of their names, because we all know, right? This is not me fluffing a region because they get a little bit angry on social media, but legitimately that region must have so much talent. Like they must have. I think it's like the CIS region where there's just so much talent. We just need to wait until the right people to pull all those pieces together are available to pull them together.
Look at it now. Furia, Godsent, and 00 Nation. These are three teams that could be like pretty good overall.
All pretty good, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you're right,
there's still some people somewhere down there, right? That I'm sure are still like kind of waiting to get discovered, you know.
So I'm excited to see what more comes out of that region. I think, depending on some of those things that we were talking about in the conversation about the major changes as well, I think that could be really cool. If some of those changes mean more Brazilian representatives, right? Because it's going to push North American teams at the same time. They're going to be fighting. That's essentially what that case is going to be. So look, we don't need to get stuck too much into the Navi stuff. It is disappointing for them to start the season that well, start in that way. But I don't expect it to continue, right? I think that's just going to be what it is. OG with a pretty hot debut as well. They won all of their games single digit, which is pretty good, right? Like that's really good to see. And Nexa played out of his mind. So I don't think, did anybody see that coming? Just Nexa just going to go beast mode?
No, definitely not. I mean, obviously you can look at who they played, and Astralis obviously kind of have been looking still kind of shits and still kind of disconnected. So it's kind of difficult to know what level they're at. Obviously they beat Navi, but I mean MIBR did too, and like you can talk about Navi's form at the event in general. So it's kind of difficult to tell like how impressive this is for OG, but obviously like good signs for Nexa particularly, because like for him to get started this way, that must be a big confidence booster, because obviously like the way he left G2 was kind of like pretty much somewhere down there, you know, up in terms of stats and everything like that. So like a big confidence boost for sure for him. I mean, that's pretty much my entire takeaway almost, because it's like, didn't they play like Ancients the first two times? What was the last one?
And then Inferno.
Okay. So I'm not sure that we got a lot of insight into their map pool or anything. I mean, obviously we can't really with best of ones, you know, it's just always going to be, they're always going to play like one of two or three maps because they're just too comfortable in them.
Who's going to second AWP in OG if they ever need to bring it out? Right?
Yeah.
Because it was Aleksib before. Like, I don't think Volda's going to do it. I don't think NiKo is going to do it. Flames might do it.
I suppose not. I mean, Nexa is also the kind of a guy who strikes me like that he can just kind of play anything, but he just didn't really have that. Yeah, he didn't really have that much of a chance to do it in G2 because he always had like m0NESY and NiKo alongside him. So maybe he's going to be the guy who picks it up. I'm trying to remember if he did it in Crazy.
Someone in chat is saying Volda already did. So
he did? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough.
Well,
I didn't notice that, but okay.
I guess I missed it. It's all right. Yep. We'll get to see more of them in a couple of days.
He's the guy on the other side, so that would make sense at least. Like he's always going to be like on the second side and shit like that. So
I think one of the interesting things about Nexa in this team is the fact that there is more room for him to be a high fragging rifler.
Yeah,
right? Like,
definitely.
Because I look at Volda and NiKo as just more passive. Like the Flames and Nexa being more aggressive with the rifle or working off of each other with m0NESY, like that's all right. I can see that working. Like I feel like Aleksib felt like he had to do a lot Whereas, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, still going to push nexa into this aggressive position though, like which I'm not necessarily sure is his biggest strength.
Here's
So
a question.
Yep.
Who do you think, not just like in that last 6 months, but let's look like last 2 years and everything that we saw from them. Who do you think is a better individual player, Nexa or Aleksib?
In the last 2 years, I would
Just
say
like,
Aleksib.
yeah, just who'd you say?
I would say Aleksib if we were doing the last 2 years, but I think with what I've seen possible from Nexa.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I was thinking 2 years also has Star Ladder Major in it, but
Okay,
that's like 3 years
doing something.
now.
I mean, if we talk about crazy Nexa and like the level that he showed there, I think it would be Nexa for sure.
Too, yeah.
Just because like when I was looking at him at the time, I was like, this is a complete play. You know, I was looking at Hunter and I saw a lot of over-aggression and just like over-peaking shits and like obviously a lot of skill, but you know, a lot of rookie mistakes. While Nexa, you look at him and he just doesn't make mistakes. Like he's skilled and he doesn't make mistakes. Like I thought he would be a better player than Hunter. Eventually, not eventually. At the time, he just was. So that's what I was thinking at the time. And so like the in-game leadership part, obviously, like he already in-game led a bunch before, but I think he did get a lot buried a lot in G2 and in general because of necessity. And that's obviously not going to change here though. Like he's still going to have to in-game lead here, and he's still going to be in positions where he's going to have to be aggressive. So.
But there's more room for him. Like
Fair
he's
enough.
not fighting with a NiKo and a Hunter for positions and shit,
true.
right? Like there's room for him here. And
yeah,
I
there's
think,
definitely a lot more supportive elements on this team than there were on G2. Like that's 100%. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we could see like him if that continues across, you know, a bunch of maps. That'd be really exciting. And you look at the coach over there at OG being Rugger. I think
They have Kakafu as well now.
yes, they
as
do.
Secondary coach.
I think they could be like you know, I think Nex is the type of guy who's probably more than happy for somebody else to come up with the system and the strats, and then he just calls it, right? Like, and like whereas Aleksib, I think he's the type of guy that would probably want to come up more with his way of wanting to play, and then having the coach chip in. I don't know. I'm probably way off.
There's
that's not fucking true at all. But
I don't know about that, but there was this interview with Flames from Play, I think, the outlet, and Flames talked a bit about. You have to always, this is a thing for people that read articles and read interviews and stuff like this. You always have to take it with a grain of salt when a change happens. Of course, the player is going to hype up the new guy and kind of shit on the old guy. Not like completely, but there's always like a bit of copium and hopium going on in these interviews.
Well, it's because the narrative they have going in their head to tell
it's like their internal monologue. They have to convince themselves that this is good, because if they don't convince themselves, then it's surely not going to be good. But Flames was saying something along the lines of that now the players actually have to, you know, think for themselves and do things on the map. Like Nexa doesn't want things to be pre-planned in the round, having like all of these responses and stuff. It's like more of a, you know, we have these ideas what we want to do, but then players need to do their own shit and react on the map. And this would be, I guess, also the reason why Nexa could have a bigger impact individually, because he's not controlling all of these details and he's giving more freedom. And this means that Flames can potentially grow into a different kind of a player than he was before. Like he needs to develop, and m0NESY needs to develop in terms of like his aggression and mid routing and all of these things. Doesn't mean that would work though, because potentially it worked quite well now because Aleksib was helping them out in these things. It doesn't mean just because they have more freedom that's going to be better. Like it can be easily be worse, right? So that's kind of an interesting narrative about OG that we kind of need to follow and see how it's going to develop with the coming matches.
I mean, it is what we kind of expected from this change in general. Like we knew that Aleksib was more on the micromanaging side, and like obviously we didn't know how much, but there's obviously talk about him being very micromanaging. And Nexa, we just knew he was the complete opposite. Like he's always going to give freedom, and the way that G2 operated was just with a lot of freedom, right? So I think, I mean, it should do OG some good for sure, because I guess they're just going to get they're going to expand their horizon.
I've got a cramp, so while I sit here looking like I'm in anguish, I am. But I want to kind of go down this route with what you were just saying there between the two of you, right? We're talking about how with Nexa there, they're going to have to kind of grow a little bit as players. In some of the OG losses, right, they were excruciatingly painful, right? They were ones that they probably should have won and they ended up dropping at the final hurdle or whatever. Some of the issues that I'm sure that while watching, I've noted is when a play has to happen late like that, Aleksib was the only one who would try and make that type of a play. Now, if these other guys aren't micromanaged as much and they have to, and when I say it, it sounds like it's a bad thing, but for Aleksib to win, right? That was probably the best way to do things. With
Yeah,
his
he's gonna do
right
what he thinks is best to win. He's not doing he's not micromanaging people because he thinks like, oh, I'm the best player. I need to tell everyone what to do. He's probably thinking, yeah, this is the best way to do it. This is the way that's gonna get us win. And especially if the players aren't themselves doing these things, then he needs to take control, right?
I mean, this was also something that he talked about in the interview that I did. So like if somebody
it's a good listen,
it's a really good. It's just like kind of like overall like a very good look at Aleksib and the move in G2 in general, but like just also at kind of like the idea that he's just super micromanaging game leader that's not going to let his players do his thing, right? They like his mindset is that like if I don't hear people talking when we get to like crunch time 3v3 2v3 and stuff like that, I'm just going to step in, you know, and that's what I'm going to try to micromanage because I see nothing's happening, you know, I have to take over. But if I see everybody like pitching in with their own ideas, I'm going to let them do their own thing, right? You know, so that's obviously like that's good to hear, but I think it just paints Aleksib in more of a reasonable picture than what I think a lot of people had him as, just from like, you know, some of the blast clips that like people I think have vastly over exaggerated just based on, you know, one round.
Sure. Oh, I think connect the dots here with me for a second. Like the nexa coming in, right? And the more decision making for the younger players of the Mantle and the Flames, like you guys have already pointed out, somebody else will have to eventually learn or get the balls to close out a game, because that was something that OG struggled with, right? So that maybe is a good thing that could come out of this, that more of them will step up in those close moments and make a play and make the move that's not the percentage move, but it could win you the round. You get the 3K and, you know, and you win the round, right? That they need. So that'll be interesting to look at right there. Are we done with Group B? Can we jump to Group C?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Inferno, if you guys didn't catch Group C, was name of the day. They even had a funny little segment on the show where the final game, it actually was overpass and they played the blast final music. It was good. It was a nice bit of humor in that. Now I think that there highlights two things. Probably the negative with this format, right? The fact that you can have 5 best of ones in a row that are the same map. That's just the way it's going to work in a best of one situation with new rosters, I would assume. And then you take a little bit of a look at the fact that a lot of these results were in overtime and there was comebacks and it was crazy Counter-Strike, right? So we got to see 4 new rosters, EG and Liquid from North America, and we got to see Vitality and FaZe, obviously from the international rosters that can. And look, let's start with FaZe because I think it's the easiest one here to talk about. From my perspective with FaZe, it is the perfect start for this team because ropz has shown his range as a player, right? If you're watching those games and you go, yeah, okay, ropz was just lurking here. ropz was actively lurking.
He was like aggro lurking, that's the thing.
He was doing both. And not only was he doing both, he had several matches for them where he was at the top of the scoreboard, being a huge factor, right? And then you consider that with the punch of Twist and Brokey potential there as well. This is exactly what they would have wanted, right? I don't mean this with any disrespect, but it was almost like Olof was keeping that seat warm for the year. I think that was the vibe that the majority of us had here about this move. So there's not going to necessarily be too many changes necessary. Karrigan already knew what to expect with ropz, and ropz is coming and getting a lot of the positions, if not all the positions, that he wanted, and probably very similar to the ones that Olof was playing, right? So all that stuff is really good. And this is the thing with FaZe where it becomes really scary because let's just say, just live in a little fairy tale land with me for a second. Let's just say that ropz knew, you know, pretty early on in the year that he wasn't going to be staying with m0NESY. m0NESY obviously had issues in terms of like Dexter just came over the in-game lead in Europe. A-Core really wasn't cutting the mustard. Frozen was good, but BMS was new. The org isn't as big. All that stuff, right?
Yep.
If he knew and he was just like, if I'm not saying ropz was coasting. He's a competitor. He's going to try and play well. But now imagine a competitor with extra motivation who maybe didn't have that before because he knew that m0NESY wasn't going anywhere. Like,
I mean, he fucking posted an Instagram picture where he said he had 160 hours for the last 2 weeks. Like if that's not commitment, I don't know what is, you know, like he clearly wants to get started as soon as possible and just like get into it and just dominate it early on. You know, he doesn't.
You can see that. You can see those hours in some of the matches.
It was really
some of the rounds.
Man, I was looking at at their games and I was like, imagine in all of them, right? Like, imagine if Olof is in his place. Like they would lose all these close games, like, and probably by far even like that there wouldn't have been even close. So like, that's the biggest proof of concept to me because like there were a couple of games where like Twist and it was like the classic phase, you know, Twist and Brokey were up there, but nothing like super amazing, not like a superstar kind of a performance, right? And then like 2 of them were Karrigan and Reina were just kind of somewhere down at the bottom, basically kind of irrelevant, right? That was actually the game that they closed out with the Rain 4K. And there was another one before that in one of those maps. And so I was like, imagine if this had just like a middle of the board Olaf in the mix, right? And not this fucking superstar ropz who just putting up 30 kills over 30 rounds, like that type of a performance. So like this is the biggest proof of concept that this really is the move that we kind of expected it to be, right? Like they're just getting such a massive fucking boost in firepower that it's insane. Like they have this third star now that's gonna be a consistent trio, that's actually really scary. And then on top of that, they have Rain, who actually did have a couple of more good games, right? Like I was talking about.
He's significantly better on LAN. I don't have the stats back that up, but I just think the Blast full finals.
Right. I mean, he generally had a better second half a year for sure. But I mean, generally FaZe did, like they just had a really shit first part, right? So that's kind of like you can think about like how much it was Rain and how much it was just the team in general, right? But yeah, you're definitely right. But he still had a couple of games like early on. He actually had one of those, like the first game against, what was it, Vitality? No, Liquid. They played first. Like he was big in that one, from what I remember, and then like had another one of those maps that he was up there. So it was basically just the last map where he kind of like faded off until the last round where he just closed it for them, right? So in general, like I think, like looking at this team, like the main trio is always going to be up. Like they're really solid. I think that's clear from the start already. And if they have Rain, the kind of Rain that we saw in the second half of the year, last year, I think this is going to be a sick team.
Yeah, that's still the if, the but, the maybe they're at Prof, I guess.
I mean, it's not even that much of an if anymore. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, of course, 3 maps, blah blah blah.
Striker is fully sold. He's
100%. Like
buying the FaZe jersey,
because I see like the ropz, the sheer impact that ropz has, and like that's like FaZe already were like a decent team. They just needed something above that. Like they just needed this third guy that would be consistently there, and this is the guy that's actually their best player now, probably. So like that's kind of where my mindset is.
There were some like flat halves from there was
sure, yeah.
I don't remember like which because everything was Inferno, everything was super close in overtimes, and there were some CT sides. I think there was one CT side, but
that Vitality is the first time they played Vitality. I feel like they won the first half 12-3. I'm pretty sure. They should never have lost
the T side was the Kerrigan special on
it. 13-3. No, didn't even win the pistol. I feel like they weren't even.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And then they won. Then they lost the Force and then won the Force back.
Yeah.
So
it was 14-4 at one point.
Yeah. Jesus.
So there are some, but it's super early. So we'll see if that's a pattern or if it's just best of ones, bad start to a half. Maybe you don't have that much prepared. You just hit the wall against one team. You don't know really what to throw in to fix it. I think Vitality. I'm happy with what I saw overall.
Okay.
I didn't watch in detail every game. I think I watched the EG and the phase one, the first phase one. The second one I was like kind of semi-watching. The CT side looked fucking amazing, which isn't that much of a surprise, I'd say. And overall, the roles fit. I think they talked about it in interviews as well, that there were minimal change that they needed to do, at least on the CT side. And the T side, I'm not super sure about that yet because they weren't that great overall. And that was maybe where we had more questions about how it's going to work, especially the calling, different styles, and all of this. Like on the CT side, it's not that complicated, right? I don't think you just put people in positions, and when you have people like dupreeh, Magic playing in pit on Inferno, like they know what to do. It's not super complicated. But then when you're playing the T side, when you need to draw out defenses, draw out the utility, push and pull, like rotations, that is where it's going to be a bit more difficult, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. You bang on there. Like when you look at the setup and you have dupreeh and Magic over towards pit, and it was just the same setup of Aphex and Masuda B, and then ZywOo playing Arch. It's like, okay, well that
should work, right?
It should work. If anything, it's definitely an upgrade because Shox always looked a little bit uncomfortable there, and Kjorgen, that's maybe where he had some of his better highlights, but still it was few and far between. Like get Magic or dupreeh on the balcony or at the bike or in the site doing a crossfire, you know that they can deliver. We've seen it time and time again, right? And I think it was funny to see dupreeh and Apex. Unfortunately, Apex couldn't be with them because he had COVID or something. But you see the reactions of both dupreeh and Apex and the server on the same team. Still quite entertaining there. But I think the key with this group was, even though it meant I say essentially nothing, right? Obviously, it places you higher up in this gauntlet bracket, but you're not removed from the tournament. So that's why I said like essentially nothing. But it was entertaining. Like it was entertaining 3 days of Counter-Strike. I don't think you can anybody. I can't believe how long the days went. It was just best of ones. Like I know we had a couple little minor tech issues, but they were still fucking long days with just best of ones. So yeah, I mean,
new teams always make things more exciting, right? Like you're just like looking at everything, and trying to get an early idea of what this team is gonna like look like. So it's it was 100%. Yeah, it's just like super refreshing, to watch these new teams, especially after the way that we ended last year, where it was like, well, we know Navi is gonna win this tournament, but like the rest of them are basically dead. So like it's definitely refreshing compared to that. So it was a lot of fun.
So I think like we're probably all in similar boats here. Like it was good to see. We kind of got what we expected. We want to see more and see how much they can build and what they can do with these players and these teams. But the other two, which are more unknown quantities, Liquid and EG. Let's start with EG. Do we think there's any signs of life here? Like they got, I know it's super early and I don't want to like just throw them out the door right now, but like considering the players in the team,
SPUNJ 2 years later still shitting on EG without any like.
No, I'm just
they were
the
probably
question.
supposed to beat Liquid even, but they dropped the ball as well.
Well, I look, it's so hard with the unknown quantities in both of these teams. Like for example, I think SEO, Ben, he does like some stats stuff for ESL. He also makes some content. I think it's called Noob Hub. Maybe.
Hub, yeah.
And he was.
I watched some of it today.
Did a video about the one about Nitro.
Yes,
yeah. And talking about how previously, obviously when he was in the team and the team was its best form of Liquid, he was doing the AWPing and in-game leading. Well, now OC is definitely going to be doing the AWPing. Nitro just coming from Valorant. There's obviously a lot of factors here. We were talking about it if he can get back to being that aggressive rifler that he was known for in 2015, 2016, that maybe they could get something out of him, but there's going to be teething issues there as well. What's the role overlap going to look like with other players? I don't know if we haven't. We like the same thing what we're saying with FaZe and Vitality. I just don't know if we have enough data to really make an appraisal of either of these teams.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, if you look at the stats, like obviously Automatic played 2 maps, 0.73 rating, and like one of those maps was a 16-3 where nobody really showed up. So it was kind of like it's difficult to gauge on that. But like Nitro is not that far away, 0.74 with over 3 maps. Kind of similar, I suppose, but at least they did play 3 over time. So
good.
What, sorry? Yeah,
he looked good.
That's for sure.
He looked. He passed the test. Wasn't that the question? If he could perform against the bigger names, like he passed the test. Naf and Elige just doing what they do.
Dude, Naf is great. Like I'm a fan as well. Like I remember Prof tweeting something about it, and I just love watching Naf, man. Like the fact that he makes this work is insane.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Nitro because I think you said on like the last show or the one before. Like this whole, you set up the concept of the roles on Liquid and who's going to be the entry, and we were kind of talking about Nitro as the entry, and I actually watched this video as well, and I messaged the SEO about like the entrying Nitro. I went through the years, like he had the stat overall that Nitro isn't really a super aggressive player, and that was like, okay, let's find the year when he was, and that was like 2015. When he was like very active in the entry role. And then I realized that's 7 years ago. So that's kind of like, that's really irrelevant.
Ancient history.
So
and you can tell that he is getting into that position though. Like it seems
like he wants to play like that, but the results aren't great. And he hasn't played CS in a year, and then he hasn't played this role in 6 years. So, and that combined with just his individual skill not being amazing, even when he was an active CS player, like he wasn't in 2019, 2020, he wasn't like the most exciting player on that team, not even close to the rest of them. You put Stewie and then the other 3 a lot ahead of him in terms of like individual skill. So that is a very, very big question mark if he can level that out, because I'm actually looking at the stats and he's right there next to Kerrigan in terms of the ratings, which they both played a few maps. It's not like EG who could just get destroyed or complexity. It's not a great first look, right? We can't judge on this and say like Nitro is not going to work. They need to kick him, but we're just judging on what we have. It's not amazing.
You didn't get a variety of maps, right? So
Yeah, true.
the same thing. It's like we're doing the majority of this with just Inferno and then one overpass at the end. It's like it's such a small sample size. We got this. We got what we were looking for. We got telltale signs on the players who we needed answers with, like the OCs of the world, like the m0NESYs of the world, right? These names who we know can be good. Just will they be good? And then I guess we just need to wait and see how these best of threes go. Because
Shox playing pit on Inferno.
Yeah, well,
feels awkward, feels out of place.
he's gonna find himself in a lot of awkward spots in this team, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even feel like it's a bad position for him, though.
I don't know. Like, he never really felt comfortable in Inferno, right? He was the one that
Yeah, true.
Vitality subbed out when they had Navira because Inferno was one of his, like, the way the constellation of the team was, it was one of his weaker maps, right? They had Navira play the Arch side. They moved a couple of pieces of the puzzle around. Shox sat out that map. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, when you already have Elige and you already have NAF, like, and then you know the OC is probably going to be playing the Arch side with the AWP. Yeah, it's difficult for Shox and Nitro. Those are the two, and they're probably two of the most experienced, the two oldest, I think, who are going to have the hardest time finding their feet. Because the other three who should be getting whatever they want. Those two are the ones who are going to have to make concessions, and the two that are going to probably be the difference makers in this team, right? EG, look, I'm not. We already spoke about this, right? And I'm not trying to just shit on them, right? Because apparently I shit on EG every now and again, but we don't know if there's enough firepower in this team based off recent history of any of these players. Like, that's the truth of the matter. And they're obviously legends of the North American scene, and they're obviously very good players at one point in time. Like, Breeze and Cirque need to be the best level of Breeze and Cirque for this team to work, right? That doesn't mean that Stewie, Automatic, and Rush aren't going to contribute, but those two are the pillars. Who is going to be the third star out of Rush, Stewie, and Automatic? Well, we don't know yet. We don't even know if the first two can be the first two stars, but they have to be.
Yeah,
And
I mean, Breeze wasn't close to that level on these two maps. Like, I didn't really see that Breeze that we needed. Not even, we didn't see any flashes, didn't see anything from that. So that's kind of disappointing. The only thing that I'm actually disappointed about EG is the context that they're one of the first teams that actually started boot camping and preparing for the season, and then they got destroyed. But let's just wait for the second week, and let's have a judgment.
I mean, yeah, just the whole one map thing is just makes things really fucking difficult. You know, it's just like they played one map, they played one overtime on it, then they got destroyed the other time. So it's like it's really fucking hard.
It's a good palate cleanser, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe the other way, an appetizer. Maybe we're not cleansing any palates. But for the games that are coming up in the next couple of days, Lucas, I'm going to send a link right now. We'll quickly close this.
Oh, yeah, we have that
little section off here. Bring that one up, Lucas. So the matchups that are going to be going down in this kind of confusing, kind of not single elimination bracket. Now, based on this, once it's up on your screen, you can see that all the teams who top their group, all international rosters. Yes, I saw you in chat spamming it. They didn't win the tournament, and just cool your fucking jets. They are going to be at the very end of the gauntlet. And then obviously, as you move your way down, the teams who came second in the group are in round 2. And then the teams that came third and fourth in their group are being paired up against one another. And so we have the matchups of Complexity versus MIBR. Winner of that will play Vitality. Winner of that game will play G2. So we already get the excitement that we might get Vitality versus G2. So XTAZ against his old team. That could be a little bit of fun right there.
And then I think the loser of the final and the loser of the Friday game and the loser of the Saturday game play against each other in the last chance stage. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's going to be like between groups or not, because I think what I saw is not between like these groups. It's like in line. So let's say MIBR beat Complexity, they play against Vitality, they lose. Vitality plays against G2, loses against G2. Then it's going to be like Vitality against MIBR again.
Okay,
that's how I saw.
I hope it's different.
I hope it's different, because for me that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah. Well, we can reach out and ask, but let's operate under both. You know, who knows what's going to happen in that single elimination bracket? Yeah, let's not worry about that until.
But this first one looks pretty straightforward. Like, this has to be Vitality G2 on top. Like, if it's not, I'd be super surprised. And that's at least one exciting matchup, because we're at least get the some of the rivalry. It's not really a big rivalry between these two teams, but in the way that they both changed a lot and they're kind of building to become these new big teams, right?
Yeah, I think for the second bit here, we're going to miss a lot of that as well. We get Navi Liquid, which is historically quite a banger of a matchup, but maybe I think Navi probably went and had a good long hard look at themselves in the mirror, and they're probably going to come out a little bit ready and raring to go and going to eat that Liquid ass probably. Right? It's not going to be easy for them to contest with Navi.
It's a hell of a picture.
Yeah, and then NIP, well, we've already discussed them. How much can they possibly do in a short period of time? And then OG will get a chance to show the depth in the map pool and if Nex is still hot, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
You boys expecting, Striker, you expecting Navi just to run this group, run this bracket?
Difficult to tell because like they've been prone to slow starts before, obviously, and this is kind of like the same vein. Obviously, they've had a few more days to catch up and see if whatever issues they had, whether it was like loss or whatever the connection issues were they're at the boot camp place. If they're going to be able to fix that, I imagine they will be able to just stroll through this group. I don't think the new OG will be much of a problem once the actual Navi comes in. No,
these guys don't have to play Nuke against Navi, right? Like because of the best of ones, Navi didn't even get to lean into their strengths. So this is where they get to flex the map pool on them, exploit the weaknesses of these teams. So that's something to keep in mind. The final one here is a big EG, which big last season coming out of the player break, I was all hype on Spirit, right? In the middle of the year, I would come out like they were streaming a lot, they're playing a lot. I was all hype on Spirit. Now, I didn't like buy into Big as much as what I bought into Spirit because Magix and Dexter are, they fucking sold me down the river. But Big should be better than they're playing. Like I don't understand.
Yep,
I just don't understand. Like Germany is a big country. There's like 80 million plus people there. It's always had lots of Counter-Strike players. They've now gotten the guy, as they're referencing, like saying they can get as much firepower out of him as Antares, right? I'm putting words.
Why is this constantly a thing? Why are they constantly talking about Antares? Like this is some like bad breakup bullshit.
Yeah,
Game
like, didn't happen.
Constantly going back to this.
Yeah, exactly.
They obviously need more just the first game I was watching of them and they were like doing all right, but then like Tabson was down the bottom. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, like if Tabson was having a normal game, they'd be winning this game. You know what I mean? Like they'd be doing well, but they just need it all to click because Sirison, Faven, and Tabson, I know it doesn't feel great to put an in-game leader in the star trio of the team. They can be good. Like those three can be good.
Yeah.
The question is Keto and Tizian and their contributions. Can they be consistent? That's all you really need from them, as long as the other three are performing at the levels they can, right? That's why big, and they can be strategical, and they can be like the first 6 rounds of Overpass. I was like, this is fucking sick. Like they're playing heads up Counter-Strike. Sure, it's a little bit execute heavy on some of these rounds, but it was going so smoothly, round after round after round, and then it all just fucking fell apart. And I was like, well, what was the first 6 rounds like? That reminds me of like when I came up with, the first 6-round game plan and I could gimmickly call myself with a couple of fakes and a nice execute they hadn't seen before to a 6-0 lead against TSM on train and then fucking lose the game 16-8. It's like, great. Like that's nothing. That's not a game. Like I just don't know. Why are Big not better? I want him to be better. Off gets Junge. Like, fuck.
I think it's also Faven is kind of taking things slow. I feel like he's still at kind of in the middle of the adaptation process because he hasn't really blown up yet in many of those games. And I was even looking back at the Fun Spark and he had some good maps, but it wasn't nothing amazing, And here in the groups, he was just there. He was fine, nothing to write home about really. So like if I'm waiting for him to get online and then to see the actual potential of this team.
Well, this will be their chance now. And the thing is, for these boys going up in a game against EG, one of their strengths previously, or at least one of the things that they lent on, Prof, was like counter-stratting. What are you going to counter-strat for EG?
They're going to watch Inferno, I guess.
Yeah, like you can't do anything.
Didn't somebody make the joke like watching the 3-year-old demos or something?
Carrigan, right?
Carrigan.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that my point here is that Big have to play their own game. There's no counter-stratting. There's no prepping for your opponent. Like you have to show what your brand of Counter-Strike is and how you want to approach the game, right? And for Big, a lot of the time they were chasing the tail of their opponent in the year. When I was watching them versus m0NESY and they had like Counter-Strats with a default and they were perfect on it in the CT side of Mirage, and then they get to the T side, they can't close the game. Like this against EG, I think as much as like I'm not putting the rest of their season on this, but this is where we get to see how Big play. right?
They just need, they also just need to frag, right?
Yeah.
They just need to kill them, essentially. That is CS.
The 5 headshot strategy. It's a great
Yeah.
one. We've all called it before.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm kind of looking to seeing more of all of these teams in a best of 3 format.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, that just goes on for everybody at home. Big EG, winner of that plays Astralis, and the winner of that plays FaZe. So that is the least interesting out of all the brackets. But yeah, there's some stuff here that could be kind of tasty. Boys, you want to jump into this recent news and then close it down?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Lucas,
sure.
do you want to roll the bumper, or are we just going to go there? Bumper, recent news, go. And he returns. The Polish player that could, BnTeT, is returning to TYLOO. Now, had a little bit of a brief stint over there in Serbia, playing for Xtrfy. Things didn't go very well, so he figured, well, it can't fucking hurt to go back to TYLOO, where things haven't gone that well up until this point. But he tweeted and said that he's going to be in-game leading. Prof, who do you think he's going to be replacing if he's going to be coming in as the in-game leader of this team?
I have no idea even who's playing in TYLOO at the moment.
Somebody slowly danking
Someone,
attacker.
I think Blair said that slowly is probably the one that's going out. I think that's what I saw on Twitter, so I'm going with that.
Okay, you like what Blair said? Striker, you got any more thoughts on Mr. BnTeT? Do you think this is probably the best he could have done right now, considering the circumstances?
I suppose, yeah. There aren't many spots in general for international players, right? So it's kind of difficult to have him fit anywhere. And if he kind of like missed the boat on some of these, bigger moves potentially, like that's probably. I don't want to say the best place for him to go, because he's going to get kind of buried there. Like Chinese Counter-Strike just has so few opportunities these days that it might be a bit difficult for him to find his impact. But I mean, if he doesn't get a European offer, obviously he's going to have trouble in getting anything else. So might as well play, while you have the chance.
Yeah. I think
majors are coming up. Like,
yeah,
it's not like they're not going to play anything. I'm just trying to figure out. No, are they playing Katowice? They are, right?
Yeah, they are. We'll see BnTeT there. But like danking on the AWP is actually been pretty handy in some of the games. Like I just think we never got enough out of Summer and Attacker. Like Summer for everybody playing at home back when, like I remember hearing about this guy when he had a different name. It was like
Fancy,
yeah. When he had a different name, like he was the guy owning
just
like smurfing in China, right? Nobody was. And then like he's just internationally speaking, they haven't been able to replicate that. This is just an interesting piece of news. Okay. JKS could probably
he changed his nickname.
Learn some
Mandarin. His nickname like Summer is something about his girlfriend.
Okay.
And after that, his career went downhill. So
hopefully his relationship.
Just write it down. Up and coming players as some tips and tricks and things to not do in your career.
Get girlfriends. That's what Prof's saying. Don't get girlfriends.
Don't do it. Only boyfriends.
Everyone's seen when they're playing the FACEIT. It's like elo over girls, right? That's some of the little clan tags I see when I'm playing FACEIT out there. You guys have got it worked out. All right. Let's jump into Bubzkji. This is Prof's favorite player. Prof, would you like to tell us the news?
He is out of Astralis. The contract has been terminated. Just like Bubzkji's career, thanks to Astralis. And now he's going to be like Pimp's replacement on Danish television.
The end.
Finn.
Wow. That's not the way I think we saw the story ending, Striker.
No. You mean in terms of what's coming up, or?
Well, is that it? Is he done now? Does he just does he come on and get some tips from Pimp? Well, I guess he's going to be doing it in Danish, isn't he?
Like I'm sure this is the kind of a job that he wants to do just because he doesn't have an offer from a team. Like somebody's going to step up to get him. I'm sure. Like this is not a guy that's.
But they're going to add Bubzkji to TYLOO. But
fair enough.
No, first.
I'm just trying to figure out if there's any sort of a team that could potentially get him at some point. I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, but if Heroic are like looking to change at some point, maybe there's a chance there, or something like that. He's probably waiting on some kind of an offer to come his way once like a bunch of these new teams figure out maybe they just need another player, or like one of these Danish teams need another player. I think that's
it's been on ice for so long. We don't know what he's got.
mousesports.
Yeah, I mean, there's also Copenhagen Flames. Like if that's another team that could potentially make some changes down the line at some point, and why not?
Yeah, mousesports isn't a bad shout, really.
Jokes aside, I mean, he did say in like the statement or whatever, or an interview with the Certo that could be there, that he wants to, you know, not that he wants to, but he's open to building up a new project like that, like he did with Fragsters and
What about this?
and Mad Lions. Like he's okay to start low.
Kirby's returning, right? Right, that's what
I
the
don't know about
rumors. We get MSL off the stream. We get Kirby. We get Bubzkji. We get Farley. Do we have another Dane?
I'm sure they'll find one.
If you have MSL, you have to have AZ.
True, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could make something work. I'm sure we could get something out over there working. People are saying MSL, A-Core, Bubzkji, the return of North. Yeah, look, I'm sure they could get something done. There's a lot of good players floating around. It's just unfortunate for like the JKSs of the world, the Bubzkis of the world. They've kind of they've missed this season, right? They have to sit out until either someone spends a lot of money or they make a project and they start grinding up through the smaller events.
What was that? Someone tweeted like JKS, Bubzkji, m0NESY, and someone else. Like you feel almost like it was like a random tweet somewhere. You can almost feel like that makes sense. You have like JKS, Bubzkji, like the aggro player, JKS the lurky player, m0NESY like support.
Oh,
you had MSL as an IGL, and you have Farley as the op.
Yeah,
right?
Farley, m0NESY, JKS, Bubzkji, and a good IGL was the tweet. And I was like, it's actually not bad. Actually, kind of like, even if you look at the roles, it kind of makes decent sense.
Yeah,
have that core signed by Misfits, someone says,
and just get them out of their buyout. So you guys knock on Carlos's door and then go to Jason Lake's door, and then when you're done with that, best of luck. See if you can build the team. See if you got any money left over to print some t-shirts with your name on it and your face. Okay, well, other than quickly just talking about the Pinnacle Cup results today, which I think I went over earlier, there's probably not a whole lot more for us to talk about here this evening, boys.
No,
just quickly for everybody, there is Pinnacle Cup going on.
Matchmaker, you know.
Oh yeah, fuck, we do have that. I just want to touch off on this because some of these teams are going to be at Katowice. Heroic lost to K23, Fnatic lost to Apex, and Furia lost to Whistler Krakow. Fnatic and Furia both lost 2-0. So these are teams who would be using this event for conditioning to get back into match-ready state for Katowice. This is the only time they were going to be playing, as far as what I can see. Before Katowice, and they've gone out in the opening best of 3 of something which is meant to be like a gimme. They get invited to the quarterfinals. Like they're meant to go like semi-final or better, right? In these kind of situations. So probably a bitter pill to swallow, and probably not the way that most of these names wanted to start the season. Just wanted to touch off on that. So if you guys are interested, but I guess now we can do the Paramatch Matchmaker. Shall we do it? We got to run the bump up. Play. All right, guys, we're back in playtime. We're going to smash out this Paramatch Matchmaker, and then we're going to be done for the evening. We got another show coming up on the 8th of February. That is next Tuesday. Our guest locked in. And then after that, it gets a little bit murkier. But let's do this Matchmaker right now. What's the theme this evening, Prof?
I was super out of ideas. Then I saw a ZywOo CSGO video about improvements for the game.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, let's just write like a couple of things down. 3 options, and then we can like talk through them, and that's it.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I'll just give everybody, as the audio-only listeners, the different segments, I guess, of the game at the moment. The map pool, CTT balance, overtime rules, tournament formats, matchmaking, and majors. And the descriptive terminology selected is perfect, adjust, or overhaul. Now, I assume these are vague because these are going to be quite meaty discussions. So,
yeah, conversational.
Let's start with map pool. It's at the top of your list here. Striker, would you want to kick off the conversation? Where do you think this one lands? Perfect, adjust, or overhaul?
I mean, in terms of state of, I guess this is a bit of a different discussion than state of maps, like individually. So I'm not going to get into like the whole ancient discussion and not being ready. But in general, I think, I mean, there's just too many issues that kind of haven't been addressed for too long, at the moment. So I feel like it's just kind of like long overdue changes on that. In general, like I'm pretty satisfied with the 7 map pool. I think having too many would be just too difficult for teams to actually be able to train up, like then play like one, like maybe not play 2 maps. You'll have to play 7 or 8 maps or some shit if we had like 10 maps in the pool. So I think that's fine. In terms of like the maps that are out, just Tuscan is still, an idea out there. I'd like to see
Pipe
that
dream.
in CSGO. Yeah, exactly. That's a big pipe dream.
But they're still working on it. Brute and
yeah, I mean they've been working on it for the last 8 years, so it's
yeah,
kind
but
of
that was when Brute was doing it alone, and now like I think Catfish is actually there, and Brute's
Right.
just nodding along, going, "Yes, you can use my intellectual property of a map that I took from CPL Mill and then turned it into
Right.
things so we could use it in a different league." But
right,
you know,
exactly.
that's
I mean,
cool.
yeah. What else is out there? Is Cash? It's
Cat food, not catfish.
Oh, there you go. What
That's
else
my
is
bad.
out that we
Cobble.
outside of the new maps? Cash,
Train.
Cobble is shit. No, Cash.
Train.
Not a massive fan of, to be honest, of the remake. So it's kind of like only like the idea of
Aztec?
Tuscan.
Why
Yeah,
are we
not-
hating on Cobblestone? I know
think
The new
it's
ma-
shit.
cobblestone sucks.
yeah,
Like,
new
the new one is no
Cobblestone
good.
sucks, but
The
the
old one
old
could
one,
have been tweaked.
yes.
Yeah,
Let's
I
get
mean,
the
if
old
they
one
ma-
back.
Okay, I mean, I don't hate that idea. Just overhaul the cobblestone and bring it back.
I think it's been so long that would be interesting to see how the map plays. I think it would play
Yeah,
differently.
When the fuck's the last time we had cobble?
Like
I was playing.
When was it?
2018, 17?
I think I was playing still.
It was
Trying to remember
2017 for
what
sure.
replaced it. And so to get
Didn't Train come back?
was it Nuke?
Oh, Nuke came back too.
Was it Nuke coming back to replace Cobble? I might
So,
be wrong, but I feel like
what's
we didn't have
your-
Nuke and Cobble at the same
What's
time.
your kind of final statement, Striker? What do you?
All right, adjust, fucking bring back either Tuscan, just get fuck Vertigo, get Vertigo out and just bring back either Tuscan or overall Cobble.
I would
Dude,
completely go for
What
that.
about
I would-
Season?
Too
Is
big.
that
Too
not
long
a fan
rotations.
favorite?
Too long
Too big.
rotations.
Too big.
It's a weird map for sure. Yeah,
I wouldn't
like the
mind
middle area
cobblestone,
doesn't really make sense.
cobblestone, but with a bit less like empty space. On
Yeah, like
the, on the
T-spawn.
Way
T-spawn.
too big,
Yeah.
way too big of a map.
And
for
see,
sure.
Just like
Small.
uselessly big, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to. But I think it would be interesting to see how it plays. Cash, fuck Cash, and yeah, keep Mirage
I
obviously.
mean,
best map.
I wouldn't mind Cash coming back. It was always an okay map. I just didn't think there
What, you
was a
wanna
lot
see-
of new stuff in it. You know.
Exactly. That's the thing. This is the thing that people at home. This is why when I'm bashing my head against the wall and I'm tweeting against Mirage and Dust 2, it's because one of the key factors of
Couldn't figure it
Counter-Strike
out.
is not how many fucking times you sit in a deathmatch server making sure that you have the perfect headshot angle and the cunt picking you from short. I don't give a fuck. Like a big part for me as an in-game leader, and one of the things that I loved the absolute most about Counter-Strike was thinking of strategies and ideas with my teammates and utility of how to tackle a problem, which was taking a bomb site, or on the CT side, locking something down. That right there is a key component of Counter-Strike, is thinking outside of the box with that. That's what used to make in-game leaders so good. But now that the map pool gets to a point where it's stale, you don't get to separate anybody. Everybody has to have the same mid-round responses. Everybody has very similar executes. Because fucking Nard out here in Mahone are making videos as soon as these cunts fucking fart, right? There's a video out there the next day, and you know exactly what strat they just ran. These guys...
I think, by the way, I'll just put it down. Do not monetize this episode. Don't even try muting anything. Just like put not monetized on from the start, and let's just move on with that.
But yeah, long story short, fucking, I want some more maps so I can see creativity in Counter-Strike, because that's one of the things which I love. So we're happy with Adjust? Okay.
We could do a very big brain move and say overhaul and start adding in some hostage maps.
New map. Oh.
Change the game mode.
Well, I don't want to.
No.
I don't want to be here for 6 hours. So let's just sit with Adjust. Prof, I'm going to throw you CTT balance. Are you a M4 A4 denier? Do you think it's still got legs? Where are you at in the whole meta right now?
I don't know. I want to see how it developed this year, but I'll like last year was a bit too CT sided, a tad. So I don't know if we can. Maybe it's just the price of the M4A1S. That would be maybe the easiest thing to do, and just to adjust it like that, and because that plus the dropping of the nades seems to be more CT helpful. Essentially, it allows you to kind of
Just have more
snowball.
options in general.
Yeah, and so when you have like 4 and you have leftover and you stay alive, then you have the 5th nade, so that kind of helps. So maybe we can just like bump the price of the M4A1S to 3.1 to be like the same as this, and see how it develops from there.
Do you think that the issue is the
Could be
price?
adjust.
I think it is. I
Or
think
the
in general
silence?
it's a bit too overpowered. And like in general, I think it kills too fast. You know.
Okay.
If you look at, because like it kind of makes the like the
trading's very
stationary.
difficult.
Yeah, that's like whoever's stationary, like with the M4, like he's probably gonna get the first kill like most of the time, you know, unless he's like put at a disadvantage in some other way, you know, like a flash or something, like puts him off the angle. Like it's really difficult to win that duel
Maybe
without just like one-shotting people, you know.
going down to 20 bullets could be a thing, or
But
just
we've
like,
already done like a lot of that, right?
or maybe just
Yeah.
like lower the overall ammo, like
But-
so it's only 50
No,
bullets.
I don't like that because then you can't. I mean, sure, like it would kind of reduce the spamming through smoke
Because
and
the
shit like that.
spamming
But
is kind
obviously
of
that's
overpowered, right?
that
think
is
it's the spamming?
that is for sure. Yeah, I think
it's
that's
the
don't
lack
think
of
part of it.
trading.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
there,
that you get one and you get away, right?
yeah.
but you can also like you can nerf one part of it. You don't have to nerf it like completely, right? Even
I
if
mean,
you just
if
nerf
I-
the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, if you just nerf the spamming part, that's gonna help the tease a bit. Maybe you'll
Okay.
still have the other part. Maybe it's gonna be hard to trade, but you're gonna like tweak it so it's
Yeah.
Or maybe you just put back the tracers on so you can see it through smokes.
I
Because
think
that,
that's not the biggest problem though.
but it's annoying. It's an annoying
Yeah.
mechanic. Like the spamming through smokes is annoying in itself, and then this just makes it more annoying because
Sure.
it's like one side has essentially just has advantages.
I think its fundamental problem is that it just deals more damage than the M4A4 now, which is like just like now basically there's nothing going in the way of the A4 because previously it has slightly more damage, right? And at least with the silencer you had less ammo but you had the silencer on, so you had kind of like that was a trade-off, right? Like it wasn't as easy to figure out where you're shooting from and stuff like that. Like certain positions really made use of the A1S, right? But now that it's just better damage wise, like there's literally zero reason, right? So like just slightly make the damage like either with same as the A4 or just slightly less, just so that there's still some sort of a trade-off, you know.
Well, some people in chat are suggesting to just swap the price points of the two, right? Because if the A4 was cheaper, sure,
More
it has.
people would use it.
You think?
I mean, that's I guess the.
I think people will still use the gun that's just better, even if it's
Yeah.
slightly
that's
more
the thing.
expensive.
So then that actually works as a trade-off because the A4, right? If you don't equip the A4, well, then you're not going to be buying it. You don't have
Right.
enough money to buy it, right? So, like that, there's the problem. You would be actively choosing to equip the more expensive weapon,
Sure.
which would put you in scenarios where it would be like it was buying before, not like it is buying now,
Yeah.
where you just are able to buy the silenced M4, the Kevlar, and a nade. It would leave you in a position where you'd either have to take another save or you would have to invest. And yeah, so maybe. This one here, though, I think we probably agree probably something, just a little
Yeah.
adjustment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is
for you?
mainly the A1S. I think the grenade dropping is definitely I think it's helped it. But I don't think it's a massive issue. Like, sure, you see people like, you know, they rotate off, but they leave a smoke behind and stuff like that, and that helps. But I don't think it's like a massive change. I think it's the A1.
Yeah, I think we'll keep our eyes on that because this year is going to be much more telling. I think once we get back into arenas as well and see if that plays into anything, because sound is already harder in arenas, right? So maybe it doesn't play as much of a factor because they probably couldn't hear the bullets anyway. I don't know.
Sure.
OT rules.
I like the idea that you brought up a while back.
Which is apparently just the way Valorant does it.
The
Yeah,
tennis one?
The sudden death at the end, right, or some shits.
Yeah, this is the way Valorant does it. So you got to win one round on each side consecutively.
Right.
Basically,
Is it
probably
just from the
best way to
start, or
put
is it just once you get past like one overtime, or is it, how does that work there?
I
Just
think
from
it's
the beginning.
start,
Just from the
Yeah.
start. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I mean,
maybe
your
for
idea
ours,
was just like from the second overtime or some shit that would have
Yeah.
been sudden death, right? Or
I think we do standard OT first and see if that pays out, and then if it doesn't, then transition.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the overtime games are always the most exciting, right? That's when the most viewers tune in. So
Yeah. But
like,
it's always going to be like, even if you like if you have it on 2 rounds, like if you just have to win 2 rounds consecutively, it's still going to be like super exciting at all times. You know, it's always going to be, well, they're just 1 round away from winning, but now it's back. 1 round away from winning, now it's back. You know, that type of a thing. So I don't think it would affect like the excitement levels of it over time. You know.
I still think it'd be nice if we could find that perfect price point for the economy in the situation. Like, whereas 16K, like I get why it was an issue on maps like Dust 2, for example. I don't want teams to have to eco in overtime, even though some people are like, but it's part of the game, the economy. Well, that's why we're in overtime, because we couldn't separate them with the standard play. The rules should be a little bit different. But yeah, maybe like a dynamic pricing so that the loss bonus in overtime isn't like standard loss bonus. Like your first round loss isn't the 19/1400. It could be like 2400, right? You could adjust some of those commands. But yeah, I think like overtime is the most exciting part.
Maybe it should be the exact opposite. You just have like the smallest amount of money possible, then you just have to make it work somehow. You know, you have like 3K per player, and just like make it work.
In CGS, overtime was 1 round. You played the side you finished on. It was pistol round, $800.
Holy shit! Okay,
That was
maybe
that
not
was
that, maybe not that
CGS
aggressive, but I was like, you know, some maybe like you have a team bag, but it's like small enough that you maybe can buy like 2 guns, you know, some stupid shit like that. I think it would work, but I think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
So what
bro?
are what is the
I
what
was
is
just
the
gonna go
call?
adjust slightly.
I think it's even like if we want to do the tennis rules, that's an overhaul. But yeah, I think it's even 12.5K instead of this 10 or 16 would be
10's not enough. 16's too much.
Yeah, so I think that would be nice for Valve to implement for majors as well, because right now it's 10, I think, which I feel like is kind of bullshit that you kind of lose 1.5 rounds and your eco for the last one.
There's a good suggestion here that someone said that 16K is perfect. You actually get people who go for retakes. That's true. You know, you take a couple more risks in overtime. You also want that as opposed to saving. So maybe that's a consideration.
But that's why if you do these like tennis rules where you swap every time,
you're always going for the rounds.
Everyone's going for the rounds. Yeah. So you start with like, let's say 6.5K. So you can have a nice full buy, but not like have ops and laying around and shit.
Right.
That would be, and then you play 1 round, then you swap sides, then you play 1 round, then you swap sides, and just do it like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just go adjust. We're going to be middle of the road here. Striker, we'll go back to you. Tournament formats. Now, obviously,
of course, that fucking question falls on me, man.
There's a plethora of tournament formats here, right? But like in terms of just the general formats, maybe you can comment things that you don't want to see anymore. Maybe?
Well, fuck round robin. That's one.
Okay.
Rest of them, I'm kind of all okay with, apart from like this. Like, can we just fucking simplify? Like, this plus format in particular, like, it's kind of like essentially, if you go down to it, it's like quadruple elimination. If you take into consideration that they don't even if they lose in these groups, they still have the showdown, you know, and they have to lose another time there to not get into the spring final.
We know why this mechanism exists for these guys.
Of course, I understand.
Minutes watched for both parties.
Yes, but it could be less complicated than this. You could still have more maps played, but not make it this complicated, and to understand like where the fuck does this team fall and where does this team fall. And you lose the second series, but you can actually play another one. It's just like, it's so much for people to just keep track of. I know what it is. I understand it completely, but it's because it's my job. I literally have to understand what the fuck's going on. Like nobody who's just like a casual fan would just look at it and then makes like look at a match and make sense to them what the fuck is on the line, right? Like they don't know, they have no idea. So I think, like, first of all, fucking simplify. Like don't make these super extra complicated formats where it's just it's not clear what is on the line.
Yeah, like my girlfriend knows Counter-Strike, right? And I asked her after the best of ones happened. I said, "Do you know what any of these matches meant?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Well, it didn't mean a lot."
Yeah.
But they're entertaining, right? They like I showed her the bracket. Right. She's like, "Oh, so they're still all playing, nobody lost." I was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the second, basically, like the second match, or like the first match, basically it doesn't matter if the same team loses the second match, like in the lower bracket, because it doesn't matter if you plays third or fourth. Like that's literally a meaningless match, other than, well, you make sure that the other team is fourth and you get another chance to go further. But it's like basically like in the end it doesn't matter, right? So it's like meaningless matches. Fuck that. So that's why fuck round robin, fuck all the complicated ones, and just let's just keep it to the basics and then keep it simple.
I hope we get some big tournaments, like 32 team tournaments. That would be a big.
I would love a 32 team double in bracket properly seeded.
Just that, nothing else.
Just seed it properly. Just seed it properly.
I know it's technically it would be a nightmare and it would take so much time, but like 2 or 3 streams doesn't matter, just so we can, even if it's online, like that would be especially good on like because if we're online and we can't travel, that's when you can do it, right? Because you don't need to fly people out.
I mean, that's what Swiss is perfect for, like vast, like high amounts of teams. You know, that's what it was made for. Like a lot of participants, and just like trying to make sure that you actually get the best teams through, you know, or like the best half or whatever, and order them in some fashion, you know. So it's like Swiss would be great for like big tournaments.
I guess we just put adjust here as well.
Fucking overhaul, no round robin ever.
Okay, all right, overhaul. Oh, Prof, do you play much matchmaking?
No.
I play a lot of matchmaking. Striker, do you play any matchmaking?
I mean, I used to a lot, sure.
So I don't know if you guys are up to date on how it kind of changed. Now I don't have all the names of all the things. Obviously, you got short matches, you got regular matches, you got the prime with the veto. You've got ranked and unranked, right? Obviously, different varying of opponents there. Now,
danger zone.
Yeah, look, and those things are across the board. Now, I think the one that everybody's talking about here would probably be more skewed towards the Prime with the veto and everything like that. People want like elo systems and maybe the rank overhaul and all this kind of stuff, and integrated and better attitude and this, that, and the other. Would that be good for our game?
I mean, it would be good for the game, but at the same time, like we have so much good shit that's external that I'm not sure it necessarily matters too much. Like eventually you're going to get through to FACEIT, and like if you're looking for something more than what you get out of matchmaking, you're going to move to FACEIT, and you're going to hear about it like eventually. Of course,
That's
it would be better if
thought
it was
process.
Look, if it was integrated into the game, and like obviously it would be better. It would be more easy for people to actually get into these systems and like find out about them and just like make sure that they climb within the game, right? Like obviously that's the ideal world. But I think the way we are now, like because FACEIT is just so universal and everybody kind of like learns about it eventually and just like figures out how the system works. I think that's at the moment pretty good. Of course, like I said, ideal world, we just have it integrated.
But here's the thing, right? You've obviously never played a night of Counter-Strike with Rushley 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because as soon as we've just finished stomping like games of matchmaking where we get queued against just like
random ass people.
Yeah. And we want to play some Counter-Strike where the people actually shoot back, and I suggest FACEIT, and he's like, well, I've got to do my fucking anal swab, and I've got to send in this, and I got to send in that, right? Because you need the anti-cheat, and if the anti-cheat's not up to date, then you need to reboot your PC, and then, you got to remember to log into your fucking account, and then all your premiums expire, so you got to pay for that, so you can be a scumbag on the queue like me, right? Like, you got to do all these things, right? So there's some people who just don't like the extra added barrier of entry, and I understand that. I think, the leaderboards and all that kind of stuff, I agree with you that these things exist, and they probably exist better than they ever would in the game. Like FACEIT and the FACEIT hubs, like, and all that kind of stuff in the communities, that is better than probably what will ever exist within the game. And I think it's good for that factor. But, the people at home, and I would say the majority of our viewers who like playing Counter-Strike in that environment would like 128 tick servers. If I was going to do one thing, even if I wasn't going to overhaul the MMR and the ELO and this and the rank system, everything, I would do 128 tick servers, just because it's so stupid that you can watch professional level Counter-Strike players play. You can learn the smokes, and then you go throw them in, because most of them these days are a jump throw or a little move throw.
That's annoying.
It's not consistent. That's the only thing, right? And you get 3 clicks Philip making a video saying that he did a test with a bunch of people and there's no difference, right? And look, he probably did do a test with a bunch of people and they didn't feel any noticeable difference. And I'm sure that a lot of pros, if you put him in there, right, they're probably going to give you a different answer to that, because these are the guys who are playing the game at the highest level, where they notice the difference on LAN, online, the spray, 128 tick, all the like. I have arguments with Rush about this every single fucking night. But for the consistency of just the grenades, I win the argument. Like, why should I need to know how to do the smoke wall for 64 tick as well as 128 tick on nuke? Like, just that one thing is enough that I would say overhaul, just because everybody at home would love that, right? As much as I don't personally, I'm on your side here, Striker. I think we have enough external things that exist that people can go and do that if they want. Back in my day, when you played at a LAN or whatever, the thing was, you're on IRC, and then you'd make a team on IRC, and you'd look for scrims through IRC, and then you'd go to join a ladder. And the ladder would be on an external website, and you would search for more information. It wasn't just fucking given to you. You had to cut. Whereas I think people these days, unfortunately, the generation we have, and this is where Boomer Chad comes in, everything needs to be fucking spoon-fed and they're at 100%. Whereas back in our day, play fucking Warcraft, I used to have to get some mod and this and bullshit and jump through a million hoops. I don't even know how to use a computer, and I was doing this dumb shit. Like, so convenience is something I think that the user base of Counter-Strike would like. Anyway, we got one more.
Where does that leave us?
Overhaul.
Again?
Let's just go overhaul. Fuck it.
Yes,
Yeah. Last one. Prof. Majors.
Majors. Perfect. Val is doing an amazing job. They're not paying me to say this. I do not live in Gabe's mansion when he's out in the Bahamas. No. I think majors overall 2 per year. That's
2 per
fine.
Year. 2 RMRs a year.
2 RMRs. That's fine. Not
Call them
too
whatever
big.
you want.
You can what?
We can call them whatever we want. They don't have to be called RMRs.
Yeah, it can be called. Yeah, not the sexiest name, but at least people don't call it Road to Rio anymore.
We don't have carryover positions for the top 8 anymore. That doesn't exist anymore.
A lot of things are pretty good. Like I think majors are pretty nice. I think just maybe have a bit more communication around them, and that's it. Essentially, maybe they didn't announce like how much the stickers sold. Like that would be a nice thing to announce, so people stop crying about this and that and the other game having more money, because there's a lot of money going on for the players and the teams through majors. So yeah, I think perfect.
Draka?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of spaced out. I was thinking about something else because there are people like thing about Hunden came up through Esport Fire.
Yeah,
there's been
I
a
saw that.
response
We'll
and
have
stuff
to
like
read
that. So
that.
I just kind of got I got distracted by Twitter.
It's like people are asking us to comment on something that broke during the show without actually reading it, because we've been doing a podcast for the last fucking 3 hours. But on that bombshell, let's go with Perfect. We'll close down the Parry Match Matchmaker segment, brought to you by Parry Match and Prof's Brain. And I want to read out a nice little comment here from Morskoy Konek.
Legendary
He says,
user.
SPUNJ, ESL Shill, Professor Valve Shill, Striker, isn't verified on Twitter. So we've hit the nail on all the heads there.
I'm basically not involved with anybody in any way. Let's go.
Yeah. There you go. All right, guys. Are we done?
Yeah, we'll see this Hunden thing. We'll read about it. We'll see what's going on. Probably talk about it next episode when we can actually go through it and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then there's our next guest, who we might as well announce. Like, why the fuck
cool with it. I don't care.
So the next guest is going to be Bubzkji, and that's also why we didn't talk about the whole thing too much. So he's going to be coming on the show, joining us, talking a bit about his experience at Astralis, what he wants to do, and stuff like that. And he's going to talk about other teams as well, since he's now an analyst, right? So he needs to have opinions and shit.
I mean, he's the kind of a guy who's going to fit into that. It's just like shit talk everybody probably. So let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be good. All right, that's on the 8th. We'll announce a show sometime before Katowice once we get the details worked out. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for Carlos for joining us earlier. Big shout out to G2. Hope everybody enjoyed the show this week. A bit of a different pace from last week's show. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Remember, anchor.fm/HLTV for audio-only options, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff, all that good stuff. Check it out. We've got shirts. Maybe we'll get some HLTV confirmed merch. I don't know. I'm just talking shit now. Good night.
I want your face on a hoodie, chat.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do
the
that.
whole hoodie. Yeah, let's do it. Put my face on a hoodie.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna see you falling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parry Match, your esports teammate. Stuck ranking up? Lost the motivation to grind? Bored of clicking heads on aim maps? Get some color into your game. Bitskins.com. Buying and selling skins made easy. Tons of payment methods and instant cash outs. Just choose your dream skins, select your preferred payment method, and start grinding again. If you want to play like the pros, you gotta look like the pros.